Welcome back to another episode of Didi Got a Podcast. I'm your host, Didi, and look who we got back. We got Brian, the auditor. It's been a long time coming, man. He and I've been communicating and emailing back and forth over the past, I don't know, a couple of months or so. And life has been happening. I got a lot going on in my personal life. I'm even surprised that I've been able to make videos really over the past 2 months. But I'm pushing through it as this is my now my full-time job. And so, heck yeah, Brian, we are happy to have you back on.
Good to be here. I don't know if you remember last time we talked about fasting, and just yesterday I completed 80 hours.
Wow.
80
Yeah, I'm not there
hours,
yet.
water only, literally nothing but water.
Wow.
Yeah.
If you can turn your mic up just a little bit, I think your volume's a little bit low.
Sorry.
Are you good? Or maybe it's me. I don't know. I'm gonna turn my volume up as well.
Actually, I haven't touched it since we last spoke because I don't go on any other shows, so
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Well, I turn mine up. I'm just gonna encourage everybody else. If he or I are a little bit low, or if me or Brian, if our volume's a little bit low, just turn it up just a little bit.
Or let me know. I could try and sit closer to the mic, but
Yeah. So in
sounds-
today's episode, we're going to be discussing. We're going to try to make some time to discuss the Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Joe Kent, Thomas Massey, new alliance, anti-war party promotion that was just put out just the other day. I don't know if the podcast itself has officially been put out, but hopefully we're going to make some time to get to that. But for many of you all, if you have been following my Patreon, or if you are a YouTube member, not a YouTube subscriber, but a YouTube member, then you should be very well aware that I dropped a video maybe 2 weeks ago or so, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was talking about why it is I was a bit baffled or a bit confused, why it is that the quote unquote powers that be, those that run these platforms, why they've been allowing Candace Owens and several others to get this algorithmic support. And typically when I mention algorithmic support on my channel, not a lot of people, but you have quite a few people, and one of them is in the chat right now. They use these terms like yesterday I mentioned it, and they'll use terms like, Didi, gonna be honest with you, you're jealous. You're sounding jealous. I don't know what this jealous word means in relation to this. How is that relevant? I'm not jealous of anyone. First and foremost, I'm definitely not jealous of a Candace Owens. Candace Owens, regardless of how down to earth and personable she may seem to many people, including myself many times, Candace Owens is quote unquote a public figure. Candace Owens is also a very wealthy or rich individual, right? Despite how relatable she comes off, that's just a fact. I'm not comparing myself to Candace Owens in the content creation world. What I'm telling you is, if we are to believe that something suspicious happened, majority of you all do not believe that Charlie Kirk faked his death. Many of you all believe that Charlie Kirk was taken out. And many of you all believe that it was not Tyler Robinson and that the feds are lying to us about what happened to Charlie. To take it a step further, many of you, a large portion of you also believe that Donald Trump may or may not, or may be involved in some way. Maybe he didn't orchestrate it, but many of us have good reason to believe that Donald Trump, our president, had foreknowledge, which is part of the reason why he has not made a large amount of noise or shown a heavy amount of concern about Charlie Kirk, despite the general public being the opposite, right? Why am I mentioning this? Because if this is the case, then if we are to believe that Donald Trump has good reason to believe or had foreknowledge about whatever it is that may have happened with Charlie Kirk, then it should also not be a far-fetched thing to believe that those that run these platforms that Donald Trump, our president, run in the same circles with, right? You got your Mark Zuckerbergs and your Jeff Bezos and whoever runs YouTube right now. These people, a lot of them being Zionists, know Donald Trump on a personal level. It's not the most far-fetched thing in the world to believe that these people could easily suppress whoever they want. It's not wrong for me to say it's a bit suspicious that they're choosing to allow Candace to trend. She gets heck of support from the algorithm, and I'm a very objective person. Candace Owens episodes in her quote unquote investigations are very compelling. Very compelling. I haven't been able to catch the past maybe 3 or 4 of the last 5 episodes. I've tuned out a little bit because part of the reason is because every episode is new information, and that can be a bit off-putting sometimes, only because my mind kind of goes to the fact that, are you getting tips every episode that's tied to the last thing? Not saying that you don't, but that's where my mind typically goes. Many of you all in the comment section typically tell me, well, you shouldn't say those things, right? Don't go against Candace. We're all in this together. I'm not going against Candace Owens. What I'm telling you is I have my own brain. I have my own mind. And all I'm saying is I can understand anybody who finds it a bit off-putting that every episode is like reality television. And if you say otherwise, you're not being honest. We all understand that every episode is like a new episode of your favorite TV show at this point. It's been 10 months. I'm not saying because it's been 10 months, people should leave the Charlie Kirk investigation alone. No, not by any means necessary. But what I am saying is it can be a bit off-putting when the thumbnails are a bit bubbly. It comes off a bit weird. That's all I'm saying. That's the only thing I'm saying. I can understand anyone that takes that position. Before Brian and I discuss sort of why it is that we believe, which I've already shared on Patreon and for my YouTube members, why it is that I believe, or why we believe that they may be allowing Candace to trend instead of just suppressing her content, what the real reason could be. Before we get into that, I would like to give some credit to Candace. As you all know, for those of you that consistently tune into the show, we just the other day we discussed a guy by the name of Andrew Wilson. Andrew Wilson has been publicly calling out both Candace Owens. He's called out Baron Coleman. He's called out Ian Carroll. But specifically Candace Owens, he has given her or offered her $300,000. And my position, after several weeks of him calling out multiple people, no one would take his offer except for Stu Peters. Stu Peters would go on to debate, quote unquote, debate Andrew Wilson just the other day. Huge fan of the work that Stu Peters has done over the years. Don't know him personally. Seems like a stand-up guy. Seems like he wants what's best for this country. But I wasn't the biggest fan of how he, quote unquote, debated Andrew Wilson. I think he had some strong moments, but wasn't a big fan of it. I was a bit curious, and I have posted online. Many of you all disagreed. As a matter of fact, majority of you all decided to argue with me in the comment section that I should not also feel the way that I feel about why no one was willing to accept his offer. I didn't say that anybody was a bad person. I didn't call anybody, quote unquote, controlled opposition. I didn't call anybody liars about the things that they've stated about this investigation as to the reason why they won't accept his offer. I just said I found that very interesting. I thought this was a great opportunity. Many people have accused Andrew Wilson of being a TPUSA shield. He's denied this multiple times, including in the debate with Stu Peters. He claimed that they hired him for a one-time service to teach them how to debate better. He likened it to them hiring someone to cut their lawn. That doesn't mean that they are continuously being paid by TPUSA. Well, Candace Owens, credit to her, actually addressed Andrew Wilson today. I was able to catch today's episode while I was at the gym, and I was able to watch earlier this morning her episode from yesterday. So I've caught up a little bit on some of the investigation, so to speak. And I want to play for Brian, if he hasn't seen it. I want to play for the audience as well some of the things that Candace Owens said. And I found this extremely compelling because, according to Candace, she hadn't seen or even heard of Andrew Wilson. So that's on you if you believe that or not. But I do want to play sort of the first few minutes of her episode today, and we're going to react to it.
Okay, so first things first, it has come to my attention that an individual who I had literally never heard of in my life went onto Joe Rogan signaling that I am scared to debate him regarding the Charlie Kirk case and that he's offered me $300K to do so. So just, the backstory leading up to this moment is that the host of the Whatever podcast, who I do know, a guy named Brian Atlas, reached out to my PR guy, Mitchell, with an offer of $50K for me to debate this person. And then he upped the amount, I think, to $150K initially. I immediately dismissed it. I genuinely had never heard of the name Andrew Wilson before. And my assumption was that this was a PR ploy, a move for some young influencer that was coming up through the ranks and had a little bit of money to spend to get their name out there. It's almost like, and people do this, you try to buy an ad for yourself. It's an industry strategy to get your name out there. Of course, the Charlie Kirk case was not some gimmick to me. We have not been asking for money, just a public discussion with Turning Point USA, one of their affiliates regarding the case, whether that be Blake Neff, Andrew Colvett, Erica Kirk, Yankin Bank Frank, somebody who was there on the scene that day. We've offered them the floor repeatedly. Now, what I had not appreciated until people began sending me clips of this Andrew Wilson guy following his sit down on Joe Rogan is that he is sort of affiliated with Turning Point USA, another person in their orbit that they're boosting, so much so that he's apparently hugging Erica Kirk at Turning Point USA headquarters. I will let you take a listen to what he told Joe Rogan during their sit down. Take a listen.
We offered Candace Owens, I offered her $300,000 to do a debate. I was like, we'll give you $300,000.
What is her position? What does she think happened?
She thinks that Israel worked in conjunction with TPUSA and Erica Kirk to murder Charlie.
Based on what?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. Nobody actually knows. She's never presented a single shred of evidence thus far that Israel ever worked to murder Kirk, that Erica Kirk certainly didn't. In fact, her position for the longest time was if Erica Kirk comes out and tells me to stop the conspiracy on this, I will. So Erica did. She went out publicly and she was like, enough. You're just causing more problems than good here as this investigation's going on. And then suddenly Erica's now part of the conspiracy. By the next day, she's trying to cover it up. She's part of the conspiracy too. Mm. When I went to the TPUSA HQ, and I talked to Erica briefly while I was there. The first thing I did was what I think every normal, moral human being would ever do. I gave her a hug. And I told her how god-awful sorry I was that happened to her. Like, can you even imagine how that's got to feel for her? Especially now that she has tens of thousands of people accusing her of murdering and conspiring to murder and then cover up what happened to her own. I mean, that's like mind-boggling psychological torture on a level that I've never seen.
Yeah, and hindsight is 20/20, but given the reaction, I think it probably would have been better for her to like lay low for a little while.
1000%.
The going out with the sparklers was not a great idea. Like all that was not a great idea because it just seemed insane.
Thank you, Joe Rogan, for saying that. People were going, yeah, okay. Now I'm interested because first off, I wasn't expecting Andrew Wilson to look like that. I understand, I guess, perhaps could probably guess how you magically fell into money to be running around offering $300K for a conversation. And I also now understand, having looked into it, why Blake Neff and Andrew Colvett seem to be boosting you on X. Now, for everyone who was like me and legitimately did not know who this man was 5 minutes ago, Andrew Wilson apparently had a presence in the manosphere debating feminists. And that would explain why he was appearing on the Whatever podcast, which regularly features these sorts of debates. I've been on the Whatever podcast and I've done these debates, so has Charlie Kirk. But now, of course, for, I guess, either the right price or a chance at staying or being in the limelight, he's willing to sort of flip his position and kind of present himself as a feminist right there, tasked with defending Erica Kirk, taking over her late husband's company, a $250 million organization, while the kids are back home with no parents as she travels the country. Now, he's sympathetic to those positions Now, Andrew Wilson looks to be about 50 years old. That's the best that I could do in terms of finding his age. Another point that I really was surprised by, because again, I thought this was like someone younger coming through the ranks. Worry not, though, because when he debates, he's always drinking a beer. So he wants you to know he's cool. His ex-profile pic is of him smoking a cig, because that's like 50-year-old man doing this is crazy. That's his brand or something. He's like Timu Danny Zuko from Greece, but with a potty mouth, to be sure. Greece was a clean movie, born to hand jive. I actually really liked it. He chain smokes throughout debates and he denigrates people so that people know just how like fresh to death he is. I really shudder at this prospect. Well, here's my counteroffer. Now that I know that Turning Point's in the orbit, right? Andrew Wilson currently trending on X, by the way, for having lied to Joe Rogan throughout this entire interview. This obviously backfired. The comments are amazing, making fun of him and nobody buying the Erica Kirk slop, the Christian slop, trying to emote to make us feel like anything that's happened since Charlie Kirk's assassination makes sense, or that we should feel bad for caring and investigating. But anyway, he's trending because he similarly in this discussion with Joe Rogan lied in relation not just to me, but tried to like pretend that I'm somehow tangential to the leftist Un-F America tour. I've never so much as spoken to them, but then he also lied about them. He's accusing them of like laundering money and doing this on Joe Rogan's platform, absent any fact check. He just lies. I guess that's where they're at right now. Turning Point just needs people that are willing to lie. Nonetheless, I said I have a counter offer. He says 300K. Let's make it 500K. Right? I just have the hunch, this feeling, gut instinct that you're maybe being backed by Turning Point USA or their affiliates in this debate request. It's just you don't strike me as someone that has 300K lying around for conversation. I mean, not with that smoking habit in today's economy, right? And given the fact that Turning Point USA has raised $40 million in one night off of Charlie's blood, literally encasing his bloody microphone at a fundraiser event so that his grieving widow could be captured by the camera standing next to it, I think 500K feels more appropriate. They want to invest in you. You're their guy. Tell them that's what it costs. What's 500K between old friends, right? Also, my second counter offer position point that I'd like you to meet is I'm 7 months pregnant. So if you fancy a debate face-to-face, you're going to have to travel to me. It's common decency. No time limit in the debates. Don't worry. It will be live. We will bring up any documents or evidence that you mention as a part of this case. We have a team, so you can send links live. We are happy to pause and allow you to search for any evidence that you reference if the team can't find it for some reason. No tricks, as long as you want. Like I said, live, so anybody could see if we were trying to play tricks. As a 2A point here, you're not going to be chain smoking around me, tough guy, okay? So you're just going to have to bring yourself and leave your cigs at home. And this is actually, I would say, the most important part for me. This is what has to happen. Third part here. Either Blake Neff or Andrew Colvett or Erica Kirk must publicly claim you first, meaning they must say that they are sending you in to debate on their behalf regarding the Charlie Kirk case. Okay? No worming away after the fact. They don't get to be, oh, we don't really know this guy, whatever. They're boosting you. You're at the headquarters teaching people how to debate. I got to tell you, from the outside, it kind of looks like Turning Point USA scraping the bottom of the barrel looking for influencers. And they've now arrived at people who are just amoral, who will lie about what people have said and intentionally misrepresent their positions, and who I would say are not reminiscent of the honest debate strategy and style that was once employed by their company founder. I mean, Charlie Kirk's brand was clean and respectable. Here is Andrew Wilson, who, I'm not kidding, Turning Point USA says they welcomed him to teach others how to debate. Here's him debating a feminist leftist. Her name also happens to be Charlie. Take a listen.
Well, I'll try to rephrase this. I'm going to reframe, and I'm just going to be totally honest with you. I will never be able to convince you of my worldview.
You won't.
I know. But the reason is not because I'm not a great orator, or I don't make good points, or I haven't said things which should be compelling to a person. But Charlie, I just think, honestly, you're too fucking stupid to understand them.
So, Andrew, can I sell you on my worldview?
Yes.
Your wife has 3 baby daddies and has been married twice before.
And you
Under
you
your,
lick sniz.
under your religion.
You lick sniz.
What is that?
You're a dyke. Don't talk about my wife, you stupid bitch. Shut your mouth. Shut your stupid bitch mouth.
Your wife with the 3 baby.
What did I
daddies?
just say, dyke?
Your wife with the 3
Sorry,
baby
I'm sorry,
daddies?
dyke. Is she morally inconsequential in comparison to your ditch licking?
Do the men that you try to
Do the women that you try
show
to?
your hatred against?
Do you the women
they,
that you try
convince them
to?
that they shouldn't?
You know,
like,
Charlie, did I
pursue
bring
women? Do they know
Charlie?
that
Did
your
I bring
wife
your
is 5
family?
years older?
Did I bring any of your
You called
family
me
into?
stupid?
Did I
You
say
called
anything
me
about your
stupid.
family being stupid, Charlie?
You could.
It's
You could
because
go
I'm
for it.
better than you, Charlie.
No, it's because you're embarrassed and you know that the traditional values that you try to sell people
Okay.
on are bullshit because
Let's
you
go
are not
through
a
it.
traditional man.
Chuck, let's go through it.
You are not a traditional
Let's
man.
go through it, Chuck. Tell me what I'm doing, which is immoral.
You probably should have bleeped out a little bit more in that clip. I don't even know what some of those words mean, but that's him in a nutshell. Just kind of curses and smokes cigarettes and tries to denigrate people. And again, just to give you guys the proof here, Andrew Kovac claims they did pay him, but only to come and teach their students how to debate. Here's his tweet. He wrote, "Nope, he was paid for 1 day of the debate training for our students and campus debate team. He's not, quote unquote, being paid, but seeing how much they seem to hate that idea, maybe we should see if we can work something out. LOL. Oh, LOL. Great. I think we should work something out. I do." And Blake Neff sharing clips of him on the Joe Rogan show. He does a great job on Joe Rogan dissecting several of the conspiracy theories around Charlie's death and answering Rogan's questions about them. Worth the watch. Okay. So yeah, that's my counteroffer. I want Turning Point USA on record, just to recap, saying that you are representing them in this debate. You know, that they're not going to shirk responsibility and pretend like, oh, we just paid him 1 time. Yeah, he's going in there and we want him to debate on our behalf. You will also have to come to me, to another point 2A. Obviously, you will not be chain smoking around me. And $500K because they can afford it. We'll leave it at that. Those are my counter terms.
I'll let you go first, Brian. Your thoughts.
Well, I've never seen this clip before, and I don't know really anything
It's maybe 30 minutes old.
about Andrew. I almost called him Colvett. Andrew, I forgot. Wilson, I guess his name was.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he didn't come across well at all in that clip, just the way he spoke. So everything Candace says, I agree. But just more what was going through my head had nothing to do with that guy. And I was just wondering, what would be the purpose of this debate? Like, what would the parameters be? What are they trying to accomplish? I mean, why not have a debate on whether Charlie is still alive or not? Why not have a debate on the financials? A lot of the really important things that were exposed. It feels like this debate would be a very controlled sort of debate to keep the narrative that's out there in. The narrative that's safe to talk about is what I'm gathering. Like, I don't think this would go like off the rails, so to speak. They would keep it within what everyone's talking about. So I just feel like I never see these debates cover maybe some of the topics you're not supposed to talk about when it comes to the Kirk case. Like, I didn't see Stu Peters, but did he bring up any of that stuff? Did he suggest maybe there's more to the story? Did he get into the financials? Did he take it in a certain direction, or did it stay, hey, the country in the Middle East did it? No, they didn't. And it's just back and forth on that.
Stu Peters, from my understanding, did not mention the financials. He did mention some of the things that were taking place in Charlie's personal life, such as him complaining and being in fear of his own life. I don't believe he spoke about the financials. One of the things that the audience was telling me was that I was being a little bit too hard on Stu Peters because Stu Peters was trying to be very careful to avoid a defamation lawsuit. And that is what they're alleging that Andrew Wilson has been hired to do. And that is to be sort of the person to draw people in, like a Candace Owens and some of the bigger names, so that they can be sued for defamation. They can slip up and say something definitively that they cannot 100% prove and then be sued and sort of forced to not speak going forward. I do not buy that. I understand why people may think that could be possible, but I don't buy it, because if that is the case, then they don't need Andrew Wilson to do that. Candace, Stu Peters, and many others, many of us have already been stating things and been investigating and publicly talking about those things for months. All the episodes out here, there's hundreds of them, literally. At this point, there's thousands of episodes across everybody. You can easily find something to point to try to tie someone up in a defamation lawsuit at this point. I don't think that's what it's about. I think what it's more about is that Andrew Wilson has created this reputation online for being an incredible debater. But what I've said is he is a good debater. I think he is overrated. And the reason I believe he's overrated is because of a couple of reasons. One, I've been very well aware of who he is for a number of years because he has been debating over the past few years, quote unquote, leftists. If it's not a blue hair or green haired or pink haired leftist female who's arguing that she's a feminist and that women are their right to being taken away because they're not allowed to get abortions. And if they're not arguing that they should be OnlyFans models and the benefits of being an OnlyFans model, or they're arguing that men can be women and that trans women can compete against biological women, they should be able to go into any bathroom that they want, and that underage children should be able to get these puberty blockers and have these irreversible surgeries. If first and foremost, Andrew Wilson is coming in he's already on the side of truth coming into these arguments. He doesn't even have to be a great debater to debate those people on those topics. It just so happens that he is a great debater. He does have some intellect. And so it just makes those debates all the more worse for those individuals that he's debating. But when it comes to a topic like this, it's completely different. Completely different. There's overwhelming evidence, at the very least, whether you believe Charlie is alive or not, that clearly what they said happened did not happen. The problem is, which leads me to my second point of what makes Andrew Wilson, or my third point, one being that he is intellectual, two, he's usually on the side of the very obvious truth of the topic. But the third reason about Andrew Wilson is that Andrew Wilson has a very strategic debating style. What do I mean? Andrew Wilson will tie you up on a claim that you've made, and even if the claim that you've made is simply, I find such and such suspicious, such as them paving over the crime scene 2 days after the fact, and not only did they do that, but apparently it was above the pay grade of even the mayor or the senator or whoever, the Senator Cox, whatever his name is. It came from above him. That is extremely suspicious. Taking evidence all around Charlie, extremely suspicious. But Andrew Wilson's debate tactics, once you mention that, if you're a Candace Owens, a Stu Peters, and the likes, if you mention that against him, he'll just say to you, but what does that mean? He's going to flip it back on you, and we're going to say, well, we don't know what it means. That's what we're saying. That is an obvious red flag. Why would you do that in the midst of an investigation? He's going to say, I don't know. I don't have the answer. Do you? If you don't have the answer, stop talking about it. You see what I'm saying? He puts you in a position to say that you automatically have to know why such and such took place. And if you don't 100% know with undeniable, irrefutable truth or proof, then stop speaking about it. You shouldn't even mention it. Huh?
It's like he's setting these mouse traps for you
Right.
to step right into. Yeah. Yeah.
So
also, doesn't it
go
feel like bullying? And so what I mean is, let's say I'm a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. Should I get in a fight with a kid that's never been in a fight before?
no, you should not.
No. And so, I don't feel like these things are fair either. I picture myself as like a naive college kid. Should I really be getting into it with a 50-year-old who has a lot more life experience, a lot more wisdom, has read more books, has seen just more of the world than I have? That's
Right.
unfair. Just like now roles reversed today. I'm not some know-it-all, but now I've acquired and procured a lot of information. Wouldn't it be fair for me to go on the street and start clobbering kids for, hey, you don't know about this, you don't know about that? How is that fair? It's like this guy, Andrew Wilson, Charlie Kirk, and Shapiro are three people that really would clobber these college kids. And I get it. Charlie did it like with grace. He never like personally attacked them.
That's
But nonetheless, it's still unfair. I
Agreed.
just never saw how this was like some fair thing. And I thought it was really interesting when Nick Fuentes started coming after Charlie, saying, hey, sit down with me and debate on the Middle East and things like that. Hey, sit down with me. and it never happened. You know, and this is not whether you like Fuentes or not, because I think it's irrelevant. It's all right. Now we got a heavy hitter, someone that's clearly debated before, someone that's clearly, more refined when it comes to how to debate.
Right.
Why not debate him?
Right.
Why, like you said, the purple-haired 20-year-old about transgender rights or something? I mean, come on, these kids are not equipped for this.
Right.
It's low-hanging fruit.
It's low-hanging fruit that'll easily go viral. It'll go viral.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu facing someone that's never been in a fight. I just don't see how they're gonna.
Here are my thoughts on the Candace clip. I don't believe it's gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Yeah. That would be my debate. That would be my guess. I hope I'm wrong because it'll be very entertaining. I'd just be curious to see. I would be curious to see how it would take place and sort of if TPUSA has some sort of strategy up their sleeve, or agenda up their sleeve. However, this is what I will say. I don't believe it's going to happen. Yes, they can afford $500,000. $500,000 is crazy. That is, bro, $100,000 is life-changing money for most Americans, most people on this planet. To offer somebody $300,000, right? Simply to have a conversation is wild. But I got to give Candace credit. She did accept it. She did give her own guidelines and stipulations. But the biggest reason I don't believe it's going to happen is because I don't believe anybody from TPUSA is going to agree to the fact that Andrew Wilson will be representing or speaking on behalf of TPUSA. What I thought Candace was going to say was that one of her stipulations is that Erica, Andrew Covett, or Blake Nelf would have to be present for the debate. That's where I thought she was going with it. But she said, no, you just have to say that he's representing you. Give me my $500,000. I'll accept the debate. We'll go live and we'll go from there. Andrew Wilson is not going to do that because Andrew Wilson would have to step into a position where I think regardless of anything that we may be critical about Candace over, the past few months or whatever, even though we agree with Candace on quite a bit of what she's saying, who may be pushing Candace, who may be allowing Candace to trend, which we're about to get into here in just a moment. I give credit where it's due. Candace is obviously an extremely intelligent individual. Candace is a great debater too. Oh, I don't think people, and when I look online, people do not give that woman enough credit on how great of a debater she is. She is a great debater. She is. A Matt Walsh, an Officer Tatum, they're not great debaters. They're great at what they do behind the camera on their platform, but they're not great actual debaters. Candace has placed herself into the fire on Piers Morgan, on Jubilee, and the likes. She's debated rabbis, she's debated leftists, the black community, and the list goes on. Feminists, you give credit where it's due. And she does a great job of not really stooping to ad hominems. You give credit where it's due. It's not going to be the same debating Candace for Andrew Wilson as it would be debating Stu Peters. And that's with all due respect to Stu Peters, who I think who does great work. But I don't think it's going to happen, mainly because TPUSA is not going to agree to it, because they don't want, if that debate happens to go left, they understand that they're going to look even worse and even more suspicious that they're paying people they're willing to pay $500,000 to disprove what everyone else believes may have truly happened to Charlie. Why are you trying to force the Tyler Robinson Fed slop onto us? Why is it worth $500,000 to you that the narrative is what you want it to be? That's strange.
I mean, maybe I'm oversimplifying, but isn't that what we have a court for? We allegedly have 12 unbiased jurors.
Right.
In a typical court case, we have a judge. We have what's the point of court then? Now we're taking this to this public court with this debate. We'll let it all work itself out in court.
Right.
Right. And where does the $500K go? It just goes to Candace?
Yep.
Okay, now I'm not judging, honestly, when I say this, but it feels like we're in Hunger Games again with this. 65% of the country can't even afford to miss one paycheck, and then we're flinging 500K around. And this is not a knock on her for taking it, right? Because if someone's dumb enough to offer you 500K, you accept
Take it.
You never blame the person. Just like if LeBron James gets 100 million, I never think it's fair to blame LeBron James.
Right.
You blame the owner that's giving him that. But I'm just saying, on the outside, it feels like a Hunger Games scenario where we're fighting over breadcrumbs. We're fighting over an extra 10-cent raise at our job. And then it's just like nothing. Here's 500K to debate me. If anything, it's Turning Point that looks bad, not her. Because like I said, you don't blame her for accepting it. But the way 500K is getting thrown out, how about people who need it? Wouldn't there be a better use of 500K?
Right.
Well, when
that's actually a great point. Like if they were to come out and say $300,000 to your whatever nonprofit you wish, right? And we're going to make sure that those funds are allocated appropriately and that they are not misappropriated. But instead, directly to an individual. And again, not to knock to Candace, you take the money. I'd accept the money as well. But yeah, that's interesting, right? Yeah.
Just a transfer of wealth between wealthy. Turning Point's wealthy. Candace is wealthy. So we're just transferring. Yeah, it's not about, oh, you're evil for You're not at all. But I don't know. I'm trying to struggle with what does this accomplish is all I'm saying.
Brian, I almost called you Brandon. Brian, I was a couple of weeks ago. I've been frustrated over the past few months here and there with just trying to understand how these things work, because in fairness to me, and this is actually criticism of myself. Typically on my channel, most people that watch my channel as it pertains to the Charlie Kirk investigation are newer to my channel. Usually when I cover topics, whether it be P. Diddy, whether it be, which by the way, somebody mentioned the David case. There's an artist, a musician by the name of David. He allegedly unalived an underage girl he was dating named Celeste. And he's since been arrested. It took them a very long time to arrest the guy, like over a year, even though he's made music videos about it, songs about it. Usually with cases like that, when I cover the music industry, Hollywood, it's usually it's like a one-stop shop, if you will. I'm able to like do an extensive coverage of the story and it ends there. Sometimes you may have to do a follow-up, 2 or 3 videos, right? 2 or 3 research sessions. With this Charlie Kirk, is so unique that here we are 10 months later, 11 months later, and it's as relevant as ever. Every other day you're hearing new evidence, quote unquote evidence, new angles, new discoveries. And for me, I become a bit skeptical, and maybe it's to my own detriment. I become a bit skeptical that I start to ask questions such as the one that I've been asking forever. Some people don't like it when I ask it, but it's a legitimate question. Why do they allow these things to trend? If they want this Charlie Kirk thing, and by they, people typically ask, who do you mean when you say they?
Yeah.
When I say they in this regard, it depends on the topic. In this regard, if they, that being the powers that be, the individuals that run these platforms, right? They who must not be named, that being that one foreign nation. If we are to believe that these individuals do not want certain topics regarding the Charlie Kirk thing to reach the airwaves, to reach the masses, people who may not have heard about it, do they want more and more Americans to become suspicious of their own government? Do they want more and more Americans to be suspicious of the 3-letter agencies that run this country more so than we already are? Is that what they want? And I don't think they do. So why not just suppress these people? Several people have built careers over the past 10 months. Kudos to them. Shout out to them. Some I find a bit more suspicious. I do. And I've been unapologetic about it. I've been honest about it. Why don't they just suppress these people? And so some of you on Patreon gave me some incredible insight into what you've been thinking and what your perspective has been. Before I share what those perspectives are, I would like to first hear from Brian. Brian reached out. He saw the video a couple of weeks ago. Brian, why do you think, what could explain, are we to be suspicious of every single person that is trying to get to the bottom of what happened with Charlie? Why are they allowing these individuals to trend? Or is it just the people? Is the people or the desire from the people to want to know what truly happened with Charlie? Is it just that juicy? Is it that compelling that the support from the people overrides whatever suppression that may be pushed towards these people's way?
I'll start with the last question. I would say no. And granted, I'm using a small sample because I can only go by real life. So I don't have 300 million people that I speak to. I literally don't know one person in my life that cares about this. Whether it's people I talk to at the gym, whether it's people I know on an even more personal level, no one, not one, not a coworker, not a person anywhere is into this Charlie Kirk thing, 11 months later. When it happened, we were all talking about it at a personal level in the gym, everywhere. But now, I don't know anyone that's watching Candace. I haven't had anyone ask me, hey, what do you think about the latest Charlie Kirk update? Like, again, people are now back into, can I pay my bills? Why is everything so expensive? Are we going to have a war soon? If I have a son who's between 18 and 25, I hear from, parents freaking out. Like, I don't know. But again, small sample. It's I don't know, 100 people or less that I'm thinking, but no one mentions this. So even if a few people are mentioning this, I would say, yeah, maybe there is an appetite for it. Now, could it just be an internet thing where people that are on the internet all day are into this, and then people who aren't, or not? Maybe. But I think a lot of it's astroturf and artificially inflated for the next reasons we're going to get to. And for one, maybe a good place to start is anyone around my age or older will remember this. I feel like I lived through the original Charlie Kirk, which was OJ. Right? OJ happens. And for
you would compare OJ to Charlie Kirk?
From only this example, the point I'm about to make. So OJ, he famous football player, he's an actor, allegedly takes out his wife and the boyfriend. Why for the next 18 months is that a 24/7 story? And only if you live through this, you'll understand what I'm saying. It wasn't like kind of on the news. It was all day, all night, to the point they created a separate channel. Court TV is now on. You can't hear anything about the Clintons. If you do, it's on the back page. Oh, the Clintons just bombed some country in Eastern Europe. Don't talk about that. OJ's on. We got to know what's the new thing in the OJ. Every day there was an OJ update. Oh, did you hear Kato Kalin said he heard a knock on the... Why? Why is this for 18 months just constantly beating you over the head with OJ? You couldn't hear about anything. By the way, the 94 crime bill during OJ. No one talked about it, right? 94 during OJ. A lot of stuff happened, and that would have to be its own video, but we could make a video just on all the things that happened during OJ that you don't remember, we didn't talk about, and so fast forward now to Charlie Kirk, right? That's where I meant I see the similarities. It's what a way to keep you from having the bandwidth in your brain to think about other things, because it's Kirk all the time. There you go. I watched it all day, because that's all that was on. There was nothing. You weren't allowed to even talk about anything else. How dare you ask about this event? It was just the OJ, and it really set us up to dumb us down. Where now it's like that's like the original reality TV in my lifetime. Before you got to Real Housewives and Kardashians and all the subsequent stuff, OJ is the original reality TV. By the way, OJ was an actor. Isn't that a weird coincidence? Actor, and he ends up on the world stage in this. But anyway, today it's very similar to that. It's all these big content creators now are on this topic, and it's hard to get them on other topics because we got to cover Charlie Kirk. There's a new update, and then all the other content creators react to that. And I get it; it's views, it brings in the attention. But how about everything that's going on in the country? How about all the AI stuff? I know maybe it's boring to talk about, but there's a real nuke that's coming, and it's not the one from the Middle East. It's AI. So if I were a big creator with millions of followers, I'd be just hammering that topic, working with my audience. What can we do to fix this? How can we prevent it? How can we stop it? We got to raise awareness on AI, and there's other topics too, the financial crisis, everything that's coming. I think all those things are very relevant, but we're kind of convinced they're not. AI, you're weird for talking about that. We got Charlie Kirk to talk about, and it's like 11 months later. It just seems like it's a great way to keep you distracted, divided. Also, it's a harvest of your energy. And so let's say you're someone that really had an emotional connection to Charlie Kirk. Well, how do you ever get over it? 11 months later, you're still being reminded of it. You're still deep into it. There's a psychological term that the people in charge figured out a long time ago. It's called parasocial. And what they like to do is they like to get the peasants to have an emotional connection with a celebrity that they've never met, because then they can weaponize that against them. Think of Kobe Bryant. And this will make sense. If you're a huge Kobe guy and Kobe allegedly goes down in a helicopter, that's it. That harvests your energy. Your energy now, it's like a vampire, right? It's being sucked out of you and now you got to walk around. Woe is me. My life is like all of a sudden. And same with Charlie. If you were someone that was ride or die with Turning Point and Charlie, the second on September 10th happens, you're distraught. You're crying. You're upset. You can't eat dinner. You don't even know how you're going to go to the gym later because what just happened with Kirk. At work, you can't focus. But you can't never get over it if 11 months later, you're still getting hammered into it. That's part of the parasocial. It's an emotional energy harvest as well. So I think there's a lot of objectives here. It's not just one. It's not like there's one simple answer. And there's probably more. We can just keep going, but that's kind of and I think another one that's very beneficial is the divisiveness. So if we go rewind back to OJ, it was the race war. If you were white, you had to say OJ was guilty. If you were black, you had to say OJ was not guilty. And that was it. No other answer. With Kirk, it's this
political.
What would you say, like chasm divide between the right. So now you got to say the country in the Middle East did it, or Tyler Robinson did it. Any other opinion, you're wacko, you're a conspiracy theorist. It's either one or the other. And so very similar. So the people in charge, whoever that is, I mean, we can only guess, they can extract a lot out of this by keeping us in this Charlie Kirk ecosystem. I mean, 11 months later, you just have to ask yourself, how does this matter nationally?
You
live in New York, you live in Arkansas, you live in New Jersey. How does this matter to you? It matters to Charlie's family. Absolutely, it matters. If he was taken out, his family, this means everything to his family. But to someone like you or I, how does this matter?
Did you happen to catch I went live super late last night. Did you see any of it? Hopefully not.
Last night, I don't think so, no.
Okay. I want to show you something, and I know you and I have spoken off camera about if we got enough time, we want to discuss the Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Well, this will be kind of dope because before I play it, I want to just show you this. Have you seen this podcast with Marjorie? If I can get her name out, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
No.
Okay, so she's having a conversation. They're going to ask her about Charlie Kirk. We're going to let a little bit of this play. For those of you that watched this last night, forgive me. We went late. We went live so late last night that most people wasn't able to catch the live. So I'm going to let this play. Part of the reason why I'm going to play this is just it's convenient and it just works perfectly that Marjorie Taylor Greene is in this, and we were planning to discuss her later in this episode anyways. But it's not even about her that I'm playing this clip. It's something that Brian just said, and I want you to listen to what the host is going to say to Marjorie Taylor Greene after she gives her answer.
Who do you think killed Charlie Kirk?
I have not waded into that because Charlie was someone I considered a friend and I really care about him.
Yep.
I also think about his family. Gosh, I think about his mother often because I have kids that are, between 23 and 28. And I always think to myself, my God, what a horrible thing that his family has to endure. But I will be honest with you. I very much think Tyler Robinson, getting the two different ones mixed up. Tyler Robinson, of course, I think is involved in some sort of way, obviously. But I am very much compelled by the lapel mic stories. I'm also a gun owner, and I've shot a 30-06 multiple times, and I know the damage that that bullet does. And so it's hard for me to go along with the traditional narrative. And I also, I just, I think there's more there. And I think the investigation seems to have been held back. And I don't think we have the full story.
Understood. I just want to kind of, I guess, make a point on that to close out all of this. And then, and I'm not asking you to agree, but I feel like I need to say it.
Here it comes.
As we in the conservative movement are divided on just about everything these days, and we're divided on this, we're divided on Charlie Kirk. And I'm generalizing here, it seems like the split is happening, MAGA, America first. I think MAGA is not really objecting to the narrative of what we're being told about Charlie's murder. America First is asking a lot of questions and expressing a great deal of skepticism. I want to say this because I want people to understand, that I'm very much my own person. I think America First is making a mistake here. And the reason why I want to express this is because the trial is, well, unless he takes a plea, in all likelihood, I hope he goes to trial, because I hope as much evidence comes out as possible.
Should all be public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that when we see the evidence, I believe it's going to be pretty irrefutable that exactly what happened. And I don't think it's going to be what a lot of people on the America First side think that it is. And my concern is that we have a lot of energy right now and a lot of momentum, I believe, especially going into 27 and going into 28, to possibly create something new and build some real change in this country that is sorely needed. And I would hate to see some of the best voices that we have right now be discredited in such a tremendous way.
This is bad logic.
Brian, there's so many things here. First and foremost, before I start to forget more things than I remember to say, to definitively make the statement that he believes that once the trial takes place and all the evidence has been presented, many people are going to look bad on the America First side, who has been asking a lot of questions. First and foremost, if that's not the most fed statement I've ever heard in my life, how do you know that? Have you seen something the rest of us have not seen? Why do you think thousands and tens of thousands of people are tuning in to all these different creators who are investigating what happened to Charlie? Because clearly they're lying about what happened. So why is it that you're sounding so definitive and so sure about evidence that we haven't seen yet? Have you seen? Is there something you need to tell us? Second of all, what do you mean the MAGA side has pretty much accepted the narrative, but the quote unquote America First, the fact that you even make a distinction between MAGA and America First is wild. America First has been asking a whole lot of questions. You're saying people that's been asking questions are going to lose credibility once the trial has dispensed? Since when do you lose credibility for asking questions? What am I missing here? The fact that he made the distinction, the biggest reason I played that clip was because it perfectly aligned with what all of us have noticed, but just in case people have not caught it, because there are some people out there that hadn't caught it, Brian's not one of those people. Brian caught it. There's a split. And it just so happens that individuals who are Zionists tend to believe it. They tend to buy whatever's been given to them from the feds, from this administration. Those of us who do not identify as Zionists, we fall on the other side. Isn't that quite interesting?
Yeah. Identity politics is what it is, because identity isn't just black, white, straight, gay. It's now this. Right? We've now been, an identity's been given to us, and I don't accept it. My identity is Brian, myself. I come on here and I give my opinion. I'm not lumped into whatever group.
Right.
And that's what they love doing. That's what he just framed up. He just framed up a really clever identity sort of thing. Like I said, you're either in this bucket or you're in that bucket. Well, I'm in neither. I've asked questions that you're supposed to. And by the way, does a police detective get treated this way if they asked all these questions to solve a case and then it turns out, well, they ended up finding the guy who did? Does he? No, he doesn't get fired. He doesn't.
How
lose
dare
his
you?
pension.
You went east. You were looking
Yeah.
at all this evidence in east, and it turns out that the truth was in west. How dare you even just what? Okay, fine. I was looking in the wrong direction.
Yeah, yeah. Who bats 1,000 in investigations? No,
Right.
right. No, I mean that's crazy logic, and then really sneaky. If you saw what he does at the end, we have momentum. We can't risk. Who's we? I
Who's
just said
we?
earlier, 65% to 70% of people can't afford to miss one paycheck.
Wow.
So who's we? It's always rich people. And I'm not saying this guy's rich, but generally these people in these sort of things have much more money. He's not the McDonald's worker. He's not the Walmart worker. He's not the guy unloading trucks, overnight graveyard shift. So clearly he's not that. And so this whole we thing, do me a favor. Walk into McDonald's tomorrow. Ask any of the workers if they care about this Charlie Kirk case.
right.
Walmart, where I live, is open 24/7 because, they bring out all the freight at night. Go into one of those graveyard guys at 3 a.m., that look all like they're on meth when they're wheeling out the freight. Ask him if he cares about this. That's who matters, not all these rich people arguing over something that feels like I'm watching a Netflix series. So to say we have all this momentum, yeah, these rich influencers have momentum. Absolutely. More views than ever, more money than ever. Not us.
Right.
Not us. Look at where the country's headed. It's a psyop on top of a psyop. What's going on here?
Very well said. And that actually reminded me another thing I wanted to say about the guy's comments, and it was actually that part of his statements. He's talking about we're in the America First is making a huge mistake because we're in a position in this country, which is something Andrew Wilson, by the way, the guy we spoke about earlier. This is something else that he said.
I'll say this.
His frustration has been. He said this elsewhere. His frustration has been with these individuals that are questioning Charlie Kirk, including Candace Owens. He calls Candace Owens the head of the snake, which I get that why he calls her that, because she is the largest creator. She's the most popular, but also because she has presented the most evidence and she just happens to be the closest to Charlie out of any of us, right? But the truth of the matter is, Candace Owens didn't start this, and she'll be more than happy to admit this herself. She didn't start the movement of questioning Erica Kirk. She didn't start the movement of really questioning TPUSA, even though she started questioning things about TPUSA pretty early on, almost immediately. There were many of us that immediately hopped on it. The difference is that Candace has way more clout and reach than we do. Why am I mentioning this? Because if Andrew Wilson really cared about this country, he goes, Candace Owens is the reason why the Republicans are probably going to lose midterms and probably not going to be able to get reelected into office, because they're pushing all of these conspiracy theories and this propaganda that's ruining and rotting the brains of many Republicans and making many of them fear or doubt the Republican Party. We're in such a great position in this country. We're in such a great spot going forward, and we have all the momentum. These are all the things that Andrew Wilson has said. Where do they get these talking points, Brian? Why is it that you believe in Donald Trump more than you believe in Joe Biden? Why? Candace later in today's episode actually made another great point. Matt Walsh, who I don't really care for these days as much, but I don't care who the messenger is. If the message is spot on, I can give credit where it's due. Matt Walsh put out a tweet where he stated that something along the lines of the country is in a position where groceries are more expensive than ever. They continue to go up. Groceries are apparently over the last decade has increased by 30%, the cost of groceries, and people are, like you just said, one paycheck away from not being able to pay bills. And every other day we're hearing about wars, more and more wars. They have all this money for wars, but they don't have money to actually help fix the country. Republicans are back in office, yet the problems continue to increase and get worse. And then she highlighted how some of the biggest influencers, also on the right, combated his tweet and said, "What are you talking about? My wife just spent $20 to make homemade burritos for my family of 8. People need to
$20?
start learning how to cook. The problem is, make cooking great again. People are going out to eat more often than ever. People are not learning how to budget." Matt Walsh responded and said, "What does that have to do with the undeniable mathematical fact that the price of groceries has increased over the past 6 to 8 years? That's undeniable regardless of who's been in office. It hasn't changed. People are struggling to afford housing, right, and to take care of their families. Medical bills are through the roof. People don't have health insurance.
Yep.
What are we talking about here? That's a fact that you can't deny. Whether you and your family are doing well, Matt Walsh was like, kudos to you, happy for you. But it's still a fact that all these things have increased and continue to get worse for the average American. Overwhelmingly. That's undeniable. You can't argue against facts. What is it with these people that want to get on here and argue nonetheless that we're headed in a great direction and we're in a place in this country where we can do some great things? What are you talking about? Donald Trump is the same as Joe Biden. They're just two wings of the same bird. Why is it that these people, I shouldn't get this worked up, because the answer to the question is they know that they're spewing nonsense, in my opinion. Maybe some of them are still gullible, but I believe that a lot of these people know that they're pushing and spewing complete trash. It's just their job to do it.
Yeah, they definitely know. And for one, a rich person wrote that because there's no way it was $20. So an out of touch rich person made up that story and they didn't think to first look up some of the prices, right? It's literally impossible that you can make a dinner homemade for $20 for 8 people. But that's
Right.
besides the point. Anyway, one of the reasons why they do this is because they're trying to shift this whole affordability crisis to now you're a woke leftist if you bring it up.
Right.
And so it's a brilliant move because someone like me, who's not a woke leftist, who's none of that, I get lumped in with them. If now I try and push the things I'm talking about, which are very economic based, that's what I get hammered with. What are you, a Bernie Sanders guy? What are you? Did this affordability thing? Pull your bootstraps up and get a job. Something on, huh? When did this start? Because that's, I think, one of the main strategies around this is paint this broad brush around anyone pushing this is an AOC type, is a Bernie, and that's what's going to happen. This is similar to Occupy Wall Street. Are you familiar with what happened there?
Say it again. Wall Street.
Very important. Occupy Wall Street.
No, I've never heard of that.
So extremely important and very related to this. And so I'll try to give you like the 1-minute version. Basically, the bankers screwed all of us. We lost our mortgages, our homes, everything in 2008. So everything crashes. Markets crash, home prices crash. People are what's called underwater. They get thrown out of their house. Cops banging on doors, dragging grannies out of their homes.
What year was this?
2008. It's called the Great Financial Crisis when the homes crashed and then the stocks crashed.
Yeah.
Okay. And this spun out of control for the people in charge. This became an awakening. People went, wait a second, I'm not tapped into politics. So why did my grandma just lose her house? Why am I losing my house? While on top of all the bankers got bonuses, they got massive payouts. No one went to jail. People got promoted. And so it led to Occupy Wall Street, which was a movement by people like you and I, what I would call regular people. Guess what the people in charge do? All of a sudden, one day you show up at Occupy, it's 400-pound, pink-haired, transgender people now marching with them. And they subverted the whole movement where now you and I, what are you, a pink-haired leftist? And then the movement dies.
Okay.
And the whole movement's dead.
And it's brilliant.
Brilliant. I bring that up because that's now, it's Occupy Wall Street 2.0. That's exactly what's happening here.
Okay.
And if we want to even go further back in history, Vietnam. Vietnam started just how I explained Occupy Wall Street. Regular folks like me and you. And then guess who comes out of nowhere in the tens of thousands? Hippies. How can that be? How can hippies just come out of nowhere? And so then what happens? People like you and I get, what are you, Brian Didi? What are you, hippie? You got our parents yelling at us. What are you with those hippies? No, I don't want to be with those hippies. I'm out of here. And then you stop protesting against Vietnam.
Wow. Speaking of something, I got
I know I
something to
go off
show.
topic sometimes, but it's related, you know.
No, it's
Definitely not
totally
off
related.
topic.
I have something to show you.
I'm by myself. Am I supposed to talk? I wish I had the comments up. I can see what everyone's saying. Hope there's good comments.
Are you not able to see the comments?
No, I don't have anything up. I'm just not looking at anything, but I was saying hopefully they're good.
I forgot to order this in the mail months ago, and I just ordered it and it came in the mail today.
Oh, that's awesome. The book I talked about on the very first, it's a dense read, meaning there's so much research in there. The
Weird
Laurel Canyon.
Secrets Inside the Canyon. Laurel Canyon Covert Ops in the Dark Heart of the Hippie Dream.
And he talks about some of this. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to enjoy that book. I mean, most of the musicians you probably won't know of just because they're from the 60s. But to me, I wouldn't look at it that way. Like, I didn't read it in the sense of, oh, this is boring because I never heard of Frank Zappa or someone.
Right.
I zoomed out and I just thought about the bigger picture. And that's when the book, to me, is just fascinating.
Absolutely. And for those of you that don't know, this book, my understanding, what I loosely remember is that a lot of the celebrities in Hollywood, especially during the hippie movement, came from this military background. When we were investigating TPUSA and all of the military connections from Erica Kirk and Andrew Colvett and the McCoy family, and I believe even the Frank Turek, this is something that Brian referenced, and that being Laurel Canyon, which it was a point in time where a lot of celebrities in Hollywood had family from the military, but they was also stemmed from this one place called Laurel Canyon. So
it's insane. I just thought of one last thing. If we can rewind back a little, you had asked, why are all these big YouTube channels, right? That's kind of the thesis to your question, or
Yep.
getting all this attention.
Yep.
And there's one last point that I think is really important and needs to be explored. Here's one thing that people in charge don't ever want: citizen journalism. It's a huge threat. If regular everyday people like you and I and others start investigating things on our own, they have a big problem. They lose control of the narrative because now we control what stories are important. And so if you're them, what do? Well, you install people, Alex Jones and others, and they take control of the story and you make sure they look credible. So then guess what you do? Why would I investigate this story? So-and-so got it. Hey, if I'll give you a better example. After those 3 buildings came down in New York, somehow from 2 planes, don't ask me how. Why would you look into that when Alex Jones got it? Right? You get what I mean? Like in your mind, you would go, what am I going to find that he didn't find? So you step back. I'm not going to look into, September, what? Alex Jones already did it. And of course he would have caught it. I'm not smarter than Alex Jones, or I'm not smarter than fill in the blank modern day creator. So that prevents you from ever doing citizen journalism. Do you know how many people view me as weird? And maybe I'm weird for other reasons, but why am I weird? Because I create my own stories.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? I don't think that's weird at all. And I'm not even being defensive. I don't think that's anything wrong with that. But they have you in this mindset that it is. What are you going to figure out? Who are you to do? No, whatever's on the news, that's what's important. They don't want this. This is a huge, huge problem. If we all came together and we just started looking up things on our own, we started sharing real information. And like when I dug into the 990s, notice how no one ever talks about that. I'm not saying no one talks about me. No one talks about that in general. Like, why doesn't that lead to other organizations digging into? Doesn't, right?
Right.
It's kind of strange. It's
So I know you know what Hegelian dialectic means, right? Have you ever heard of that?
The both sides.
Yeah. So it's similar to what you just said. I've spoken about Hegelian dialectic over the years. So this here It says Hegelian dialectic, a framework for guiding thoughts and actions into conflicts that lead to synthetic solutions, which can only be introduced once those being manipulated take a side that will advance the predetermined agenda. Controlled opposition, problem, reaction, solution. So they'll create a problem, so that there will be a reaction, and then they'll also create or provide the solution to people that they will inevitably need. Now, part of the reason why I talk about this is because it reminds me of, or your statements in particular remind me of Tupac. So in the early 90s, my understanding was that there's this meeting that supposedly took place where they were trying to create some sort of hip hop to prison pipeline. And I've spoken about this several times. And so that's why hip hop and rap went from this conscious era to all of a sudden this gangster rap, right? Predominantly spearheaded by NWA. Now all of a sudden it's F the Police, and you can talk about this on records. They're going to create all of this drama, but they're still going to be promoted on media, and the list goes on. And then you have Tupac, who's been birthed. You're going to have Biggie Smalls, and then the list goes on. And there's been this obvious shift in the message in hip hop. It's the same thing with the civil rights movement, right? I'm giving it from the perspective of a so-called Black American. It's the same thing with the civil rights movement. One of the biggest things that you can do to control the outcome is to insert plants into a movement. Now these people sound like us. They look like us. They move like us. The people support them. But there are going to be certain people that's going to rise to the top. And once they're at the top, there are certain things that they're going to have to oblige by or oblige to based on what their funders, sponsors, handlers tell them to do. And so I've seen this playbook over and over and over. Martin Luther King Jr. was one of them. Martin Luther King had funders that wasn't thinking about the Black community, all right? The civil rights movement, the number one target population of the civil rights movement was not the so-called Black community. It just wasn't. In hindsight, in 2026, we're able to look at the results of the civil rights movement, and we're able to deduce that there were a couple of other populations or communities that benefited a little bit more from the movement. Right? And there's a reason why Martin Luther King notoriously stated that I believe that I've led my people into a burning house. When you look at the people that wrote many of Martin Luther King Jr.'s speeches, and I keep speaking about him in particular because he is the one that's been elevated and celebrated the most. There's a reason in a country that's deemed to be so racist, our government, our three-letter agencies, our education system, housing, all right, and the list goes on. Banking, the police force. There's a reason why that same country decided to give Michael King, Martin Luther Jr. King, whatever, Martin Luther King Jr. There's a reason why they decided to give this man a holiday, his own day. There's a Black History Month. There's a reason for that. It's not because they think we're special. It's not because they feel sorry for us. Because this is the same country many of us are arguing is racist. I'm going into a rant, but the point is they'll place people into the movement so they can control the message. They'll give you what you want at the beginning. They'll give you little nuggets here and there. But at some point, they're going to lose you. And you're going to wonder, what happened to this person? What happened? They pivoted. What is this they're talking about? And I believe what happened with Charlie Kirk, whether Charlie Kirk is alive or not, what I believe happened with Charlie Kirk was that Charlie Kirk was 100% elevated by those who must not be named. There's no doubt, that's irrefutable. I think everybody knows it. I don't think it's talked about enough, the fact that that's fake. It's fake because Charlie Kirk spent his time talking about pull yourself up by your bootstraps and work hard and be a hardworking family and take care of your family, which is the right message to give. But that didn't really apply to Charlie, though. It's just the truth. Charlie was backed. Charlie Kirk was not the only hardworking conservative in the country. He was not the only hardworking white man in the country. There were many others like him, but he was elevated. Yes, Charlie Kirk was brilliant. I believe he was very, very brilliant in his space. I do. But that is not the only thing that Charlie Kirk was. Charlie Kirk was elevated and pushed by a certain group of people. They had the funds, like Brian the Auditor shared in our very first video. There's a reason why we saw him all over the algorithm, and it wasn't because he was just good at debating college students. You have to have the backing, the funding, the resources, the means to push you in front of the people. And once they get you in front of the people, they got you. Now, when it's appropriate and when it's necessary, we're going to slide in this little message about, this one little country over here and how it's America's biggest ally. So when 2023 come around, maybe the country will be on our side. Maybe we'll hold the narrative, except that's not what happened. Then all of a sudden, Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro and the likes, they became cornballs. They became cornballs. The audience turned on them, saw right through them. People was not supporting Charlie Kirk as of September 10th, 2025. It's just the truth. A lot of people that turned on Charlie or was very suspicious and very critical of Charlie. And Charlie had realized this, and he was trying to figure out a way to wiggle out of this position because people was looking at him as a traitor, as a shield. He had turned off, he had cut off a lot of his friends like Candace and the likes because of these things. Anyways, I'm going on a rant. The point is, these people are placed into positions. So this is why I tell you all, when the algorithm is supporting people, I'm suspicious of it. And I have very good reason to be.
Didi, you should pull up the Albert Pike quote real quick, because it goes to exactly what you just. Do you know Albert Pike?
Yeah, of course I know Albert Pike.
Forgive me, I just always checking before. Anyway.
Absolutely, the very arguably the most decorated Freemason of all time.
Yeah.
Which quote though?
So to me, it goes to the Hegelian dialectic. Why I always think of it. And I'm not doing it justice, but it's something he's explaining. Like, they create the problem, so then you'll want the solution, meaning from a leadership perspective, and then we give you the leader. But I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it's something like that, where he basically says, we make you want a leader, we make you want someone. And if I saw the quote, I'll know it. It's like a 2-sentence.
Yeah, I'll look for it.
It's just great because it so perfectly encapsulates what you were just saying about everything there. Like, it might even be one of his most
this
famous
is what
quotes.
you mean.
I really butchered it, but I know the theme of the quote because it was one of those light bulb moments for me. When I saw the quote, it was like light bulb, like, oh man, like that perfectly makes perfect sense. The way he says it.
Yeah, it's
and it sums up the Hegelian dialect.
It sums it up very well, and it's actually very short and sweet.
Maybe it's even one sentence, but that's exactly the one. Think about how perfect that is. That's exactly how these people operate. Whenever the people need a hero, we shall supply him. So they make you feel like you, and this might even lead into the next topic, actually. They make you feel like there's this opening for this hero, and then they just give you the hero. What was Trump 2016? Wasn't it this quote? What is, and I don't want to jump topics, but if we're about to, what just happened last night? Isn't it this quote?
Ooh, say more.
Why are we ready for that topic? I mean,
we're ready for that topic if you want to talk about that topic.
I'm not the host. I'm just a guest, So I think that quote nails last night. So
well, hold on. This will be this is the Tucker thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this will be the introduction to that topic. But before Brian gets into it, let's hear what one of my favorite people to at least listen to, Mr. Jimmy Dore. Let's see. Let's see what we got going on here.
Could this involve establishing a new party?
Look, it certainly could. I mean, if you talk to most Americans out there, they're sick of the Republican Party. They're sick of the Democrat Party. They do want something that actually represents their interests. And again, we don't want any more foreign wars. We don't want any foreign lobbying in our government, and we want leadership in America.
Looks like they're starting a new party. I don't know. I think it's going to be like the Republican version of the DSA, I don't think they're going to tell you to vote for anybody except a Republican.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So if you want to, here's Marjorie Taylor Greene, who will be on the show coming up, I think, next week.
Oh, good.
Said, we said no more foreign wars, and we meant it. And we supported Donald Trump because he made that promise. But he's betrayed us all. Our commitment is America first for all Americans, right, left, and center. The movement has begun. It would have been nice if you at least pretended to have a lefty. I mean, I like those people. I certainly like some of the things they all stand for. And
we got to get a lefty, and they all live like thousands of miles away from this country that really doesn't have lefties like that.
Right.
In any kind of powerful position at all.
They should have invited me just
to you are not lefty.
They should have invited me just for a little pepper. Right?
Yes. Pepper it up.
Yeah, just for a little pepper.
Well, look, I think you should be kept at a distance in case they don't do what they're supposed to. Honest to God.
No, honest to God. No, I can't.
All the time.
Yeah, I can't get. I gotta keep my distance. So that's Thomas Massey. This is a lady. I think her name is that Carolyn? Is that his wife? Carolyn? Is that? I'm not sure.
Wife?
But there's his new wife.
No, I don't think it's his new wife. I don't know if it's
so that's
Kent's new
maybe
wife.
It's Joe Kent's wife. So that's Joe Kent, Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's Archie Bunker, and then and then this is Tara Reid.
Do you know why Whitey Webb said to watch Joe Kent? I don't remember why, and I know that she said it on here and some other things. But do you have any idea?
Why Whitey Webb said what?
To watch Joe Kent, like he might be a issue as well. Like even though he seems like he made a I disagree with Joe Kent on most things except he made a principled stand against the war. Yeah, right. You got to get credit for when you make the right stand.
The irony is that Thomas Massey is for unlimited funds in politics, and that's what killed him. That's kind of the irony. But
you're right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so
that's really something.
So I mean, but the beauty of Thomas Massey is he walks the walk. He believes what he believes. He's not going to say one thing and do the other. That's been my experience of him anyway. So, but here it is from left to right. So this is Carolyn Moffa. That's a guy named Brian Glenn. I don't know who those two people are. Can you Google them, see who they are?
I would think one is Massey's wife.
Brian Glenn.
Right?
Then there's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Of course, there's Tucker Carlson. There's Joe Kent. And then there's Heather Kent. That's Heather Kent. That's his wife.
I was right.
And then there's Thomas Massey.
You know what? Before Brian speaks, you know what this reminds me of, Brian? This reminds me of how many people, I've had some people in the comments tell me, the problem with Didi and the problem with people like Didi is that they believe that everything's a psyop. They believe everybody's a psyop. Nobody should ever be trusted, even if they're saying the right things. And they just don't understand when you delve into these things, it can be like that sometimes. Not that nobody ever should be trusted, but so many things are infiltrated. Like we just gave, Brian and I both just gave great examples of like Occupy Wall Street being infiltrated, the Vietnam War movement or the protests to the Vietnam War being protested, all those things being infiltrated. The freaking 2020, the protest that was happening with George Floyd and all of that stuff, there were a lot of people that infiltrated that. I got my opinions about George Floyd and things of that sort, but a lot of those things were infiltrated as well. This is a common tactic. What a lot of these people, because the last thing I'll say before you go, Brian, is that I have to remind myself that a lot of these people are new to this space. What do I mean by this space? What they would have previously, prior to Charlie Kirk, called conspiracy theories, tinfoil hat thinking. This is what they would have called it just a year ago. But now Charlie Kirk has red pilled them. Now they're willing to think and entertain certain theories. Not understanding that many of us have been doing this for years. And we telling you it gets deeper. Because those that we're fighting against, right, the powers that be, these people aren't idiots. We're not fighting against idiots just because they're the enemy. They're brilliant. And they have certain tactics and certain strategies that they implement to try to offshoot or mitigate certain movements so that they're not organic or that they're not successful. And so I have to remind myself that a lot of these people are new. They don't know how it works. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great point. But, you learn over time. So if someone's new, everyone starts at zero. And over time, you learn. And there's nothing wrong with that. This, to me, feels like QAnon 2.0.
Ooh.
And
that's something that's always been new. Remind me again what QAnon was, because I don't remember.
Okay. So QAnon, I think maybe around the end of Obama, it gets installed right around between Obama and Trump won.
Yeah.
So it's this like alleged underground sort of movement where they got convinced that there's it's almost like pro wrestling. There's baby faces and heels. And so the baby faces, the good guys, are Trump, and they're fighting the deep state, but behind the scenes. That's why you don't necessarily see it overtly. It's behind the scenes. And there became something called Q drops, where every day, maybe it was Trump, maybe it wasn't, people thought, and they were dropping things to this community, basically showing them, guys, we got it. We're fighting the deep state. We're beating them. So now ask yourself, why would the people in charge create that movement? Well, they would create that to pacify the group of people that might uprise. Remember, they have all of our data. They know everything we tweet. They know everything we text. So they know when an uprising is coming before it comes. So how do you stop that? How do you subvert it? You pacify that group and you let them feel like, guys, you don't have to worry about it. We got people here. They were called white hats, if I'm not mistaken. We got the white hats. They're fighting the deep state. They're taking out, the Epstein class and all this stuff. And then, of course, it came out, right? None of that ever happened. Nothing. So the playbook to me became clear. Create the problem. What did Albert Pike say, right? Give you the solution. In this case, it was these white hats, this QAnon group. And then it pacified all of us. It kept everyone at bay. Hey, we don't have to hit the streets. We don't have to get involved. These guys got it. And so this is the same exact thing. This is, man, things are bad. Don't get with your neighbor and figure out how we can coalesce, how we can fix this. This group right here's got it. This group in the picture, they got us. They've every problem that we have that we talk about, they've diagnosed it. They have. They've mentioned all of it, right? All the problems that we know exist, they've said it. That's our crew. That's our guys right here in the picture. You stay home. You don't do anything. When they tell you who to vote for, you just go do that. If they tell you donate to JD Vance or something, they clearly got your back. They called out the country in the Middle East. They call out this. They call out tranny. That's what that is. And that's what's going to happen. Their uprising is too close to happening. Let's suppress it. Let's make sure, at ease, soldier, sit home, just pay attention to this group, and you don't have to worry.
This is something that I've wanted to know your answer. Well, not necessarily just your answer, but I'd like to have somebody in the audience who typically tries to give me pushback, which I don't mind pushback. Iron sharpens iron. When Brian and I talk like this, either together or separately, my response would be, what would you say to this right here specifically? Whenever I see a group of people like this get together, the first thing I think is, why don't they just unalive them? Why don't they just threaten to unalive these people's children? You see, one of the things that I've noticed, like the podcast that I showed earlier with Marjorie Taylor Greene and the individual, I believe his name is Brandon. In that episode, as she does in many of her podcast episodes, she mentions her children. She has children who's in college and just got out of college and working. Why don't they just threaten to unalive these people's children and just remove them from the scene? Why don't they just do that? That's easy. It would be easy to do. Am I missing something?
No.
So I'm saying, like, you're just free to just get together with Tucker Carlson, who's constantly talking about what happened on 9/11 and all these other movements in the CIA and AI. Tucker Carlson channel is talking about all of that all the time. I'm like, dang, he just free to just expose these things? Because YouTube, for the life of me, I could drop one of the best documentaries. YouTube is not gonna push that video. Tucker Carlson video gets 2.5 million. How? So y'all do care? I'm confused. That's the part I try to understand. What would people say to the point that these people could easily be taken out, but they're not? So that is why, number one, we should be suspicious of them. Why they feel so safe to just freely go against the quote-unquote deep state.
And it's even easier. Unaliving is messy. All you have to do is suppress their content.
Right.
That can be done overnight. I don't need to unalive their children or anything like that. It doesn't need, it's not the 60s, where they physically had to remove people. Just suppress their shadow ban, make sure the followers don't see it, make sure they're not trending. That's all. That's not that hard. Overnight you could do that. And yet it's the opposite, right? It's getting raised to the surface. It's getting massive attention. And what's his name? Jeremy Boring, I think like an hour after Tucker already had a live stream to respond to all of this. So all that's doing is bringing more attention to it. Right? If Jeremy Boring, and Jeremy Boring's not an idiot. He understands the game here. He knows what's going on here with Tucker. So why wouldn't he just ignore it?
Right.
No, that's promoting it. That's what that is. Isn't that just covertly promoting it? Acting like you're so angry about it, you've got to do a live stream. That's drawing more attention to it. Because the attention, like I said, needs to be on this and not people like you and I and our neighbor coalescing. They can't have that. Everything has to be controlled. They can't have us figuring out how to fix this problem. Let me ask you, do you think this group is ever going to suggest this to us? Guys, you know what you should do? We could fix problems overnight. Don't show up to work tomorrow.
Wow.
All you that work at and that's peaceful. No one gets hurt. No one died. No one anything. Amazon, Walmart, Starbucks, all you low-level workers that run this economy, run this country, don't show up tomorrow. And the next day don't show up. And the next day. You want to get leverage and get your power back? Don't show up. You want to get your power back? Stop buying these products. Stop being a consumer. Only buy things you absolutely need. If you don't need it, don't buy it. You know what happened in 2024? Or it might have been 2023. Remember when they did that thing with the transgender and Bud Light?
Oh, absolutely. Dylan McVaney, whatever.
Yeah. So watch what happened a day or two later. This stuck out to me. And everyone that I know that was voting for Trump, I brought this to them and they all poo-pooed it, essentially. Told me nothing to see here. That was obviously done to create the culture war. The transgender versus the transgender.
Yep.
But what they didn't expect was what happened. It got out of hand quick, and Bud Light's financials collapsed.
I remember.
What does Don Jr. then do? He goes live on Rumble and tells all of MAGA, guys, you weren't supposed to go this far. I talked to Bud Light. Chill out. Some woke person in marketing did this. Get back to buying Bud Light. Yeah.
That's real?
Oh, yeah. I watched it that night. I watched Donald Trump Jr. do that night. He told everyone, chill out. They got the message. So why do I bring that up? Boycotts clearly work. That's the proof they work. They freaked out so bad. They sent Donald Trump Jr. out there to calm MAGA down and say, guys, I talked to them. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, I'm paraphrasing, but I think he said it turned out it was some woke marketing person that somehow slipped this in there. And, this won't happen again. It's okay to now buy Bud Light. And so boycotts work and worker strikes work. Well, that's another one. I don't know if we can say that on here, but
right. Don't say it out loud, but
definitely whoever wrote that, great comment.
You know what's funny about this comment? I didn't even, it's because I wasn't raised in a household that talked about these things. So I'm just ignorant to all of it. I just have to learn these things as an adult when I start paying taxes myself. And it's just certain things when I'm paying taxes. I've shared before on the channel. I probably hadn't said it in a while. My uncle's girlfriend gave me a nickname in high school, and it was supposed to be a bad thing. I laughed it off, and I said I'm gonna take it as a badge of honor. She called me Mr. Who, What, When, Where, and Why. That was my nickname. Except they were frustrated with the fact that I always ask questions, because they would say Dee Dee would ask questions about things that are not even that big of a deal. Why do you need to know the answer to that, Dee Dee? I just need to know. I'm like, I just think about these things. Like, I'll sleep better at night if I know the answer to this. You said that they played basketball today down the street. It's always the example I give. But it was raining all day, like hard raining. What time did they play? All I need to know is what time. That's all. That's all. I'm not trying to make you out to be a liar. It's nothing like that. So when I see a comment like this, it reminds me of the fact that when I started paying taxes, man, and I just started questions. I'm like, okay, so we got state taxes, we got the other taxes. And I started asking my accountant certain questions. Then they'll give me an answer. The answer don't fully make sense, but they'll sound professional while saying it. And I'm like, yeah, but that don't really make sense. Like, you just took a lot of my money and it feels wrong. But yeah.
No, that's
yeah.
I went through something similar. My grandmother used to always yell to my mother. I think as early I remember, I was like 5 or 6. A, I talk too much, and B, he's going to be a lawyer.
Yeah, I used to
your
that too.
point about asking the questions. That was always it, because it becomes an annoyance, because I didn't realize it because I was only 5 or 6, but we're actually like unicorns, because no one else is like that. No one is inquisitive. No one. First time I went to the beach, I was asking questions. The ocean didn't make sense to me. You know, like I was thinking, is there an end to it? Is there the way the clouds are moving? I was just asking, and no one wanted to hear that. We're at the beach. You shut up. It's vacation. But it was just the way my mind worked as a child, and it still works to this day.
And no one's going to ever convince me that that's a bad thing. That's a great thing, because it's funny you give that example. I went to the beach for the first time. I believe it was in Pensacola, Florida. I went a few years ago with a buddy of mine from college in undergrad. We go to the beach. I'm excited to be there. I drove down there in my 2008 Honda Civic. Was so happy to be there. And I'm on the beach. At the time, I wasn't in a relationship, and so I'm excited to see the girls on the beach. You know, I'm looking forward to all of these things. I get on the beach, and I'm like, okay, they're doing the thing. They're getting in the water. You know, that's new for me. I've been in pools. I can swim fairly well. The ocean's a different beast.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm like doing what most humans would do, which is I'm looking at other people's behavior. What are they doing? How far out are they going? And there were a few people going out pretty far, and I had questions. And I can see, like, the rope. You know, they have like a rope. I didn't know how it works, though. Is there a net that stops people from going further out? I've heard these stories in Florida about alligators and sharks. Why did I find out afterwards? Because I ended up going out there pretty far. Didn't go out any further because it got pretty dangerous. And some people was going out there really, really far. And I'm like, okay, bro, that's getting really scary. The shore is a long ways away. And my definition of long ways away will probably scare some of you, because some of you will probably think it's far away half of what I called far away. You would have stopped probably well before where I went. Some people went way further than I did. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to turn around and go back. Somebody ended up getting bit by a shark. They didn't get unalived. Thank God. They ended up getting bit by a shark in that same area of the ocean like weeks later. That's why I'm so happy that I'm typically the person that asks questions, because how does something like that happen? There is no do-over. Try again. This isn't a video game. This is your life. So I'm glad I've always been that type of person, you know?
Yeah. Maybe a few other things if you want to stay on the Tucker thing. In my view, at least, anytime there's a new group, whether it was Trump in 2016 or this, we should be looking for things that they're saying or not saying. So I mentioned about maybe boycotting. I mentioned about maybe striking. And I thought of another interesting thing came to mind was unions. Do you remember it was during COVID? There was a black guy, and I say his race because it's relevant. His name was Christian Smalls, and he worked at Amazon. I believe it was Amazon in New York in the warehouse. And he tried to unionize in a very normal way, not in some crazy, way. He just started coalescing workers, unionize. They fire him. And why did I mention he's black? Well, because Amazon was all DEI, all about woke and black people. An email comes out between Jeff Bezos and his executive crew on how to smear him publicly. We got to make sure that people think he's stupid. And you can just type in Christian Smalls, Amazon or something. I'm sure it'll come up, or Christian Smalls, Jeff Bezos. And so what that showed me Well, it's just like I said with the Bud Light example, they don't want us talking about unions, obviously, because look how this guy got treated. They don't want workers getting together and going, you know what? I don't care if you voted for Biden and if you voted for Trump. We've got big problems here. We need to put that aside and we need to figure out how we're going to get out of this mess. And that's what Christian Smalls was doing, to my understanding. And look how he got treated.
Let me where we at?
So why don't these rich people that are out here fighting for us ever mention this stuff, ever put these ideas in our head? Why is it these like very easy to digest sort of ideas? You know, so-and-so bad, this country bad, or this guy, like, why not a little more complex? Why? I don't know. I mean, maybe they will one day. It's just, I can't think of a time where I've heard these sort of things recommended. How about, and the Fed, the Federal Reserve, right? These central banks that have destroyed our leak. There you go. I knew it was leaked Amazon memo, details plan to smear fired warehouse, or he's not smart or articulate. And this is a black guy who we were told, you know, black guys are the smartest ever, make them managers. I'm saying that, meaning that's Amazon's.
No, for sure. Yeah,
except
I get
when you try and unionize, then you're, quote, not smart or articulate.
He's not smart or articulate, and to the extent the press wants to focus on us versus him, we will be in a much stronger PR position than simply explaining for the umpteenth time how we're trying to protect workers. Wow.
He didn't steal from Amazon. He actually did worse. He tried to unionize his fellow workers. That's worse than stealing from the company in their eyes.
It says the discussion took place at a daily meeting, which included CEO Jeff Bezos to update each other on the coronavirus situation. Amazon's SVP of Global Corporate Affairs, Jay Carney, described the purpose of seeing it on Sunday. We go over the update on what's happening around the world with our employees, blah, 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 blah. And I saw earlier that the guy's name is Chris Smalls.
Oh, Chris.
Yeah, Amazon fired the warehouse worker Smalls on Monday after he led a walkout of a number of employees at a Staten Island distribution warehouse. Yeah. Amazon says he was fired for violating a company-imposed 14-day quarantine, right, after he came into contact with an employee who tested positive for the coronavirus. Of course he did. Of course. Wow.
Why isn't this a national story? Why aren't the big content creators bringing this up as an example of, guys, you have more power than you realize. We run the economy right now. We're the workers. We do all the work. What do you think? The Starbucks executive adds any value? If the barista doesn't show up, the company collapses tomorrow.
It's a fact.
If Walmart doesn't bring out that freight at 3 a.m., what happens the next morning?
So is your position, Mr. Brian, the auditor, that because these creators or the largest individuals are not mentioning these things, is it because they're controlled op or potentially controlled op?
Yeah, I think it's unfair to say they are, because in their defense, they could say, hey, I'm not responsible for this. I'm not running for office. I'm just a content creator. And I think that's fair if they were to say that. All I'm saying is, when I generalize, I just always have found it interesting that I don't hear this from anyone. Oh, there's an interesting update. Was successful in unionizing that Amazon.
The only major channel. Jimmy Dore had him on. Wow, I didn't know that.
And it says he got a union. I didn't know that. I thought he was actually shut down.
Okay. Heck yeah.
So to my point now, even further, why don't we know this? Sure, I didn't know that. Is it because we don't follow I think we're pretty tapped into what's going on. Mm-hmm. No, we don't know that, because to our earlier point, Charlie Kirk all day, O.J. Simpson, all these stories that are not. I think this is way more relevant than Charlie Kirk.
Wait, so when was this story? Was this story not back in 2020?
No, it was. I'm just saying as an example, like, you see what I mean? Like these type of stories never make it to.
Right.
They don't. There's no headline for that. There's no big. Where's Officer Tatum covering something like this? Like, they don't make it because it's the easy to swallow, easy to digest. Good guy versus bad guy. sort of stories like this. But to answer your question, no, I don't think that means someone's controlled op because they don't cover this. I just think it's interesting that no one talks about this stuff. So it has to mean something. It just has to, right? That no one ever talks about. They act like the only way to solve our problem is A, voting, or B, 1776. And I think neither are true. I don't think we need 1776, and I don't think we need voting. I think we need the things I just laid out because they're nonviolent. No one gets hurt. No one would go to jail. Nothing. It's simple stuff. Like
They purposefully present to us this false dichotomy so that we don't think that there are other options.
Yeah, that's why I think in school they teach you 1776 so much, because then in your head, man, that's the only way out. Wow, those guys were courageous. That's not the only way out. There's no need for that. There's trust, especially now. Like I said, more power than ever is in the workers because there's so many workers. Right back then, there wasn't all these giant corporations that controlled everything, but now there are. So you can shut down Amazon quickly. You just don't show up. And yeah, I get it. You're going to get fired. I know it's easier said than done, but I'm saying the more you get the word out, what they do, fire hundreds of thousands of people. Like we've seen, strikes in the past where workers didn't get fired. I'm old enough. I used to see strikes like where I lived, like at a supermarket. You would see all the workers out there picketing. They didn't get fired. They would get a better wage.
That actually, I actually meant to. I want to see what else they say here, because it seems that Jimmy is taking a similar position as we have, with the fact that, or at least someone in his circle, stating that they shouldn't trust Joe Kent. I want to listen to just a little bit more of this.
Yep.
The photo was posted by Marjorie Taylor Greene on August 1st. From what appears to be a gathering. That was at Tucker Carlson's place in Maine. I've been there.
Okay, Carolyn Maffa and Brian Glenn are political figures and media personalities connected to high-profile U.S. conservative politicians.
Okay.
Carolyn Maffa is a former congressional and Senate staffer who married U.S. Representative Thomas Massie. Brian Glenn is a conservative journalist and White House correspondent for Real America's Voice, who married former U.S. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Okay, all right. Now we know who they are. Okay. So,
I've never heard, I get annoyed at it, but I never heard a good reason why someone doesn't like Massie. People that I know that are right wing, they're like, oh, Massie annoys me. I'm like, why? You don't want to know about Epstein?
Right.
You don't want to know. Like, what did he do wrong? They can never tell you.
Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson announced new movement in photo packed with MAGA renegades. Okay. Green, she resigned from Congress. Okay, we know all this. I think it's a group of us that if we decide to align, we could launch a true America-focused party that doesn't fall into the traps of Democrats or Republicans, but could align some serious players from the right and the left. She told Pearson. So I will join with anybody to do good and nobody to do wrong. And it seems like they're going to be the anti-war party. But I don't know how much more we would align. I got anti-censorship. Okay, free speech. I'm for that.
Hey, if they're effective enough, they'll be killed. That is what history has shown us. So I hope they get a big coalition, because it seems crazy that a small amount of people could just have this grip. Like they'll do whatever to win at the end of the day. And
Bingo. Brian, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm thinking. Like, if they became influential enough, if it's already not infiltrated, if it's already not a psyop in itself, if they really mean what they're doing because they see what's coming, maybe that they've gotten ahead of the curve because they see that the country isn't going anywhere. I don't know, but if this is organic, they'll just infiltrate it or just bomb off. They'll spend enough money to where it goes nowhere, or they'll just spend enough money to infiltrate it. One of the two, or maybe even both.
Yeah, I mean, like you just said, a small group of people, they're really good. But why wouldn't we learn our lesson from November 2024?
November 2024.
This is everything I heard about Trump. He's anti-war. he's this, he's that. Like, it was, again, he diagnosed all the things that we were upset about under Biden. He perfectly diagnosed them. And then clearly that was just, typical political nonsense. So that happens. We're not allowed to learn our lesson. Now we're bad for being critical of these guys simply because I just saw this 2 years ago. It's not about these guys individually. I never met any of these people. They may be great people. I honestly have no idea. And it's a shame. If they do have good intentions, it's a shame that we have to now paint them with this brush because we have to use history as lessons. Trump 2024 was not just like isolated. That happens every 4 years. Go back as far as you want to go back.
All right.
The politician sells you on what he's going to do. He doesn't do it. And then we hear the next guy is going to fix everything that the last guy said he was going to do. So now I have to stop and go, it's different this time. These rich people here, they care about us poor people. This time it's different.
All right.
How about the poor people get involved? You know when I'm going to step out and vote? When the Walmart worker runs for office. Here's my ticket. McDonald's worker, VP, Walmart worker, president. Then I'll vote. No, it's millionaires and billionaires. And I know that makes me Bernie Sanders, which, stop with that because I hate all those politicians, but you get lumped into that. It's a leap of faith to think rich people, especially at a high level of wealth, truly are up at night worried about what's best for poor people. Why don't poor people get to decide what's best for rich people?
That's one of the most amazing things that I've noticed that nobody ever talks about. And I get it. I'm not even like bashing people. It seems to me that people mean well, want the best for other people, want the best for the country, but they look to these people who are well off, that if they stop working today, they'll probably do fine for the rest of their life. A lot of these people. Generational wealth, like Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, generational.
I'll volunteer myself because I've done these things a couple of times. And I think it's the right thing to do to always place yourself into these people's positions. I think I'm a selfless person. Probably not the most selfless person in the world, but I'm a pretty selfless person, I think. If I had the funds, the wealth, the quote unquote silver spoon, if you will, that Tucker Carlson supposedly allegedly has, based on Brian the Auditor's research alone. If I was in this position, would I be able to empathize, fight, or even put my life at risk? It's one thing to empathize, but would I even be willing to place my life at risk, knowing I have a wife and children and a family, to just talk about things that I'll never be able to understand? I know it sounds bad saying it out loud. I would have to think about it. Would I be willing to put my life at risk to speak about strangers and how they're struggling to pay for groceries if it will cost me my life when I have children to raise, when I have a wife, when I have parents? I don't know. I don't know if I would.
Yeah. And I don't think that makes you a bad person. It's just if you've been rich your whole life,
man,
I don't think a light switch goes off where now you can relate to non-rich. You can try and have a poor friend to make it like, but there's nothing like never having to think about money. Nothing can replace that. So it doesn't mean so-and-so in this picture is bad or good. That's not, at least that's not my position. It's not about that they're good or bad. It's right. That I don't think I should let my guard down and now be like, they got us. Those are my guys. You know, I mentioned Bernie Sanders a few times. Interesting what he did in 2016. He created this major grassroots movement, calling out the rich, calling out the Clintons. And guess what? The first thing he does when he loses?
What?
Tells his base to vote for Hillary Clinton.
But isn't that like a common thing in politics too? Like they'll run against each other, and then the moment they drop out of the race, Like we saw, I believe Chris Christie did it. I believe that.
Right.
Yeah, huh?
No, right. So I bring that
Yeah.
up. What if that's what this plan is?
And I feel like that's what
You know what I
Jimmy
mean?
Dore was alluding to as well. He was like, I feel like this is sort of a culmination of people that's going to get together and then it's going to tell you to vote for the Republican Party.
Right. Oh, Vivek did that. Remember, Vivek came out of nowhere. And talk about a guy that said all the
Vivek
things.
Ramaswamy and what's happened with this guy over the past like year and a half. I used to be a big Vivek Ramaswamy guy. I just like this message. I like what he was talking about. I didn't think he was going to get elected because I am under the presumption that presidents are selected. I do believe that, and I'm sticking with it. But I believe that if anybody ever had a shot, Vivek Ramaswamy was doing all the right things to cater to the American people on the right. But man, when him and his wife went out there to the caucus in, what is it, Iowa, where it takes place? I believe it's Iowa, maybe.
Iowa, yeah.
Yeah, and man, it was crazy. It was in 2024, and they literally told the guy, like, his wife asked the some of the residents out there, what is it that Vivek should do better? What is it that he's lacking? Where is it that he needs to improve? And she said, what is it that the people are telling you? She's asking a older married white couple out in Iowa. And I appreciate their honesty. They literally told his wife, Vivek Ramaswamy was not present. He was at the time on the campaign. They literally told Vivek Ramaswamy's wife on camera, they looked at each other, the wife and the husband, as if to say, like, with their facial expressions, should we be honest? And then they looked at his wife and it was like, they're saying that he's brown. She said, I'm sorry. And she repeats it. She's like, he's brown. She said, oh, that he's brown. She's like, yeah, Muslim. It just reminds him of Muslims. And I remember, and that, as I want to play that. I have to play that. I have to play that because I just need people to see it so that they understand how bad this was. Really, really bad.
But yeah, but he's another one. Diagnoses the problem perfectly, but then in the end, herds you toward one side. Just how I said Bernie Sanders diagnosed the problem, herds you toward Hillary Clinton. So it's fair to ask, why wouldn't this group then do the same thing?
Right.
So then in the end, what did we get? Any real change? Any real significant and maybe they'll surprise us. And if they do, that's great. You come back on here and say, man, I'm thrilled that I'm wrong because now things are getting so much better. But when I zoom out and look at history, I can't find the time period where things got so much better as a result of some movement. You know, you had mentioned civil rights. In a high school textbook, they'll have you think this was the greatest thing yet. You know what I mean? But when you go,
right,
you look into any of these movements, we find, no, subverted, all the things you had said earlier about MLK. So it's the same thing. You know, pick any movement. And this feels just like another movement.
I agree. I'm going to play this clip.
Even that picture, like, are they laughing at us or are they just happy to be in the photo?
Right.
Or is it like, suckers, you know, we got
Right.
you again? I don't know.
Let me share this. Okay.
What do people
Oh, I've never seen this.
gives them like, oh, I can't vote for him because what are the things that they tell you? What answers can I help you provide? Or just
Well, the only one I've had, and I don't even couldn't even remember who said that to me, but they mentioned it's dark skin, you know, and they think that way. And so I kind of set them straight on that, whether they believe I thought I was covering for it. I don't know, but and I thought it's what
there's not much we can do about that one.
Well, yeah, you know, so yeah.
Yikes. Yikes. But anyways, you mentioned Vivek Ramaswamy, and I just wanted to mention like what's happened with him over the past year and a half has been very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Feels like it happens to all these guys. That's why they all come to mind. They all start hot. They all start saying what you want to hear.
And then they buy out and they say, go vote for Trump.
Go vote for Trump, or go vote for Clinton, or go vote for Biden, or whoever. JD Vance, maybe that's the play here. They know JD Vance is a tough sell, so let's get all of our best people to herd us toward JD Vance.
Thanks to Trump's actions. Right.
I'm just like, because I just think it's something more than we're for the working class. I've yet to see in history people that are true. What did that Jimmy Dore's co-host say? They would get unalived if they were for the working class. Something like that, he just said.
Mm-hmm.
So he's right. You know, I don't know. Like I said, it's great that you're calling out that country in the Middle East. But like I said earlier, call out the Federal Reserve. Because, you know, the Rothschild family, one of their best quotes, it's just like the Albert Pike quote. They said, "He who controls the money controls the world."
Wow.
So what does it matter who's president if the central banks control the debt, control the flow of money, control the interest rates? It doesn't matter. You have endless wars because you have endless money printing. Not because you have politicians that love wars. They're just foot soldiers. When the printing press is running, you can do whatever you want.
Wow.
Anything you want, you can do if you just print money. Think about it. What can you not do when money's free? If you didn't have a Federal Reserve, then that would be different. If you had a gold standard, if you had something that made money meaningful and tangible, but in 1971 or 72, I forget the year, you know, Nixon got rid of that. And then way back, Woodrow Wilson gives us the first federal bank, or whatever they called it, Federal Reserve. And forget sovereignty. It's over by then. You're not free. When you can't control the value of your money, you're at the mercy of these people. So what even if a good intentioned politician comes along, what can they do if they can't control the money?
Yeah, I've had a friend that literally told me, he reached out. He said, "Hey, Didi, so I've been watching your show, man." He's like, "We should get coffee sometime." So I meet with him. This is a few weeks ago. He's probably watching this episode, actually. And he tells me, he goes, "I know you talk about a lot of things, but I really, really think that you should talk about the financial system and how it works, because that's really where it starts and it ends." He was like, "Who's controlling the money?" And every, what is it? Is it every 25 years, every 100 years? The currency changes. It went from the gold standard, and now the dollar that we use today is not really worth even remotely what it was worth. What?
Not even close.
Not even close.
Not even close.
And so now they're talking about this digital currency. It's due for it to shift. And he's been religiously telling me, this is what you need to be talking about. And this is going to be very important in the coming years, because a lot of people are going to be in for a rude awakening financially over the next few years, maybe in the next 2 to 3 years. And I've always told him, like, I don't know enough about it to intelligently speak about it, but I am aware that it's something that I need to educate myself on.
Yeah. Well, remember, we talked about one thing that was fascinating. So the digital currency is the stable coin. You're going to move from the dollar to a stable coin. And then who owns the stable coin? Donald Trump Jr. As we showed in that first video. That should be like pretty eye-opening. And like, well, wait a second. Why would the president's son have a new currency? And you start to put the pieces together, and it becomes pretty clear that no doubt there's going to be some event that gets us off the dollar and into this, what's called stable coin, which is just a digital dollar, you know, via a digital wallet with a digital ID. You know, very, very out there. Something that you would have thought would have been a science fiction book, you know, 100 years ago, is now going to be reality.
Mm-hmm.
Where every transaction is tracked. They can surveil it. Maybe if you don't get a shot that you're supposed to get, they can turn off that digital wallet. So now how do you transact? If they make cash illegal, how do you transact if they shut you down? This is why in China they've got everything digital already, because they got 1.4 billion people to control. So cashless is the way to go. To me, it's very scary. And your friend who said that to you, I think, is right. I would wish if some of these bigger channels would spend less time on Charlie Kirk and more time on this sort of stuff, because when this freight train comes, it's going to hit us with no. Oh, there you go. It's silver.
Each time I've spoken to him, he's giving me a silver coin, and it's real silver, and it's freaking heavy. Like, this is pretty heavy.
Might be an ounce.
It is an ounce. It is. It shows it here. I don't know
Wow,
if you
so
can
he's
see it.
basically giving you $70.
What?
He's basically giving you $70.
This is worth $70?
Let me see. It was actually worth 120 until they crashed it. Yeah.
Here's another one.
62.50. 62.50, yeah.
U.S. Civil Bar, full Troy.
Those are great.
Yeah, man. Yep.
You know, think of it like a barter system. If something were to go really awry, you're in a position of leverage because you have something tangible. So if your neighbor makes bread and you don't know how to make bread, maybe instead of trading something, you could say, well, here's an ounce of silver, because that's going to hold value. That's why when people are on the precipice of thinking we're going to collapse, what skyrockets? Gold and silver. Not long ago, silver was 18, and then it was 120. Silver is not a stock. In history, it never goes from 18 to 120. Silver was at 18 for years because I was buying it. And then all of a sudden, people were so freaking out about the dollar collapsing, about, war in Iran, that they just started buying up gold and silver, because that's like your last resort. If you think the financial system is going to collapse, it's a rush to safety. It's called. You run and you buy gold and silver. So you sell dollars because dollars are going to be worthless, and you hold gold and silver.
Mm-hmm.
Same with your stock. If you think stocks are fake and the market's going to crash, sell your stock, but you don't keep it in cash. You buy gold and silver.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did years ago when I had stocks from, work plans and things like that. I just started selling the stock and buying gold and silver, and then just put it in a safe and set it and forget it. I don't even know how much is in there, because it's there for a rainy day. It's not there to think like, oh, I'm going to spend it. It's there as like I said, as a hedge, as a worst case scenario. I view gold and silver like an insurance policy. I hope I don't crash my car, but if I do, I pull out my insurance card. And so I hope I don't have to need gold and silver, but if I do, I'm in a nice position where I have gold and silver. That's the mindset behind it. Just like you may have extra food in the freezer. You're not thinking like, oh man, there's going to be some power grid hit. But if there is, you go, well, good thing I have this extra food, or those meal replacement things that last a while, or, canned food. I view it all the same. These are just strategies around worst case scenario. If things happen, I don't want to be caught off guard like I think most people are, because they're too busy with TikTok and Charlie Kirk and all this stuff. Like we said earlier, you don't have time. Like your friend told you about the finances, our brain doesn't have the capacity, because we're so inundated with day job, family, and then scrolling the internet on these stories that probably don't have as much real value as what we're talking about now.
Totally agree. And I want to make sure I say this before. This person says that in China is buying up all of America's gold.
Yeah, they've been doing that, I think, since 2022. China's and Russia too. China, Russia, India, all of Brazil, a bunch of countries. So what does that tell you? They must know something's coming if countries are buying record amounts of gold.
What I'll say is, before I forget, is that part of the reason why I believe that, or the statement that I made, or the assertion that I made on Patreon, was that a few weeks ago, was that I believe that, I agree with many of you, that the reason why many people have been allowed to dominate the headways with the Charlie Kirk content And just so people who out there who missed the point, it's not about the fact that they're getting views and making money. I don't care about that. I don't care about how much money people are making. It's the fact that it's allowed to trend. And a term that someone used on my Patreon, I totally agree with them, was the term useful idiot. I believe many of us, I'm going to include myself in that category, have been used as useful idiots over time, because I don't believe it's going to ever go anywhere. Hope I'm wrong. If Charlie Kirk was really taken out by someone other than who the feds say took him out for a completely separate reason, if you catch my drift, then of course I would like justice to be served. Now, if what I believe may have really happened, what Brian the auditor believes may have happened, which is Charlie Kirk is not deceased, then that's a whole different topic. But let's just entertain the possibility that Charlie Kirk was taken out. Then of course I would like justice to be served. But here's the thing. Many people, I believe, are being used as useful idiots because they'll allow people to be entertained while other things are happening throughout the country, such as what are the surveillance systems that's being set up? You got the data centers as well, but there's something else. Is it the flock cameras or something?
Yeah, so all surveillance cameras.
I need to do like a deep dive on that as well. Not even on live. I need to do a deep dive documentary and release that on my channel at some point and educate myself and the people on what that's about, because usually by the time that it reaches the masses, by the time we found out about it, it's probably too late. It's probably too late. And so for me, I believe that a lot of people are being allowed to talk about these things because what's going to happen once all the information has been presented? Candace Owens for the next 2 months. I understand that the trial starts next month in September. All right, fine. For the next 2 months, Candace Owens continues to release and expose things, and she's receiving all these new tips and et cetera, et cetera. Then what? I'm not saying people should stop investigating and should stop making videos about it, but I'm saying what happens after that? Are we going to get a conviction? Is the FBI going to cooperate with Candace? No, they're not. Because if that was going to happen, I think they would have already reached out to Candace Owens. I think they would have reached out to other people, but they're not. The freaking defense, Tyler Robinson's defense team has not even reached out to Candace Owens. All the things that have been exposed and released over the past 10 months still have not reached out to Candace Owens. Very strange. Very, very strange. So I think these things are being allowed because they know it's not going to lead to anything. It will distract people while other things are happening in the country, which are a plethora of different things that we've discussed in today's episode. And I do not believe that the Charlie Kirk thing is ever going to see the results that we wanted to. That's the harsh truth. Nobody's going to be arrested because of something we released unless we have absolute undeniable proof that someone set up Charlie Kirk via video call, text messages, something like that. If it's nothing like that, then nothing's going to happen other than we know, or we know, however you want to look at it. We have good reason to believe he was set up, all these things. But what justice actually came from it other than us knowing, the public knowing that they convicted Tyler unalived himself, but we all know that they JFK'd him. But what does that do other than us just knowing? So
you mentioned the flock, and I think that's a great point. And there's another thing that came to mind that the Charlie Kirk and these sort of stories distract us from. It's something I uncovered. Across the entire country, massive, and I'm not exaggerating, massive psych wards are being built. And so shouldn't we be talking about this? Shouldn't we be asking who do they have planned to be put in all these? Why are they all being built at the same time? I know because I did the investigation on it and I drove to one. It looks like a mall. These are they're getting record funding, like to funding they've never got before to build this. And somehow in January, I found a clip. Trump got asked about it, and this was his quote: "I don't want to build these suckers, but we have to get the bad guys off the streets."
Who are they classifying as bad guys? Because the assumption is going to be, oh, they mean illegal immigrants.
So it's the Hegelian dialectic that you said earlier. Problem, here's the bad guy. Solution, build psych wards. Reaction, get the public to consent to this by saying it's the bad. But let me pose it this way. Imagine it's the year 1983. Someone like me comes on your show. Let's say YouTube's around. And I say, dude, they're building private prisons across the entire country. And they've got this plan to install rappers, gangster rappers. And they're going to create this nihilistic sort of thing. And they're going to use that as a pipeline. Wouldn't you have said I was crazy? So why don't we learn from history? Why don't we go, wait a second, this feels eerily similar to them building private prisons all at the same time. And now they're just doing psych wards all at the same time. And like you said, it'll be too late. Because when the go live comes and they're all up and running, well, maybe then people will talk. Well, what good is it then? Why not get in front of these stories? Where are the journalists or they get in front of stuff? It's always after. Anyone can talk about something after. That's not hard. I can wait till
everything's reactive instead of proactive. Yeah.
I mean, they're being built now, and it's everywhere. It is not in one state. It's not in two states. If someone wants to do what I did, go on Google and select the news portion and just type in something like new construction psych ward, new construction psychiatric center, construction extension and I started going through all the states, all the news stores. It's all in the local papers, and I just started compiling them.
New construction
psychiatric center. And you do, and you just start to look at local stories that give the details of how many beds they're going to be in there, how many square foot. Some show pictures. What's interesting is almost all the go lives are around 2030. What did Klaus Schwab famously talk about in 2030? You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. What's the Great Reset 2030? I mean, massive in Dallas, Texas, in Nevada, upstate New York. Shouldn't someone have to explain who is going into these? I love this one. Now youth is a big thing. There's now a youth mental health crisis. Who the hell is the government to decide we're going to put kids into these prisons? Because to me, a psychiatric center is a prison. You don't have medical autonomy. If they want to test drugs on you, guess what happens? You take the drugs. I had chills when I put the story together in the sense of this just feels really freaky that these things are going up all over the place.
About 1 in 5 adolescents in the United States are diagnosed with a mental or behavioral health condition, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. In California, officials say the numbers are even more staggering, with roughly 45% of that age group struggling with their mental health. That growing need is driving the construction of a new youth psychiatric health facility in Gridley, a project local leaders say cannot come soon enough.
Look at you. Okay. I wonder what parent agrees with that.
What?
If you have kids, are you saying this can't come soon enough? Isn't it amazing how the government speaks to us?
Bro, that's a crazy thing to say.
Yeah.
Unless it's some sort of utopia out there, to say it like that is crazy.
Kids? This is insane. And we're the weird ones for calling this out? No, kids should not be in psychiatric centers. Are their parents there to consent? Do they call your mom and say, hey, we're going to put Johnny on these 10 new pills? No, they just do it. Because Johnny's crazy. We got to get him on these meds. We don't have time to call Johnny's mother. And who the hell is the government to decide if you have mental health or not? Oh, gee, they might raise the numbers so then they can fill these things. Johnny has, and the answer is this. The answer is not the diet, the sugar, the vaccines,
Wow.
this what I call tech heroin. Having a kid on an iPhone and no, none of that comes up in this article. Scaring a kid about climate change, where he's waking up in sweats every night because he's a climate alarmist or whatever. This new garbage language is. None of that comes up. It's just problem, reaction, solution. Mental health crisis. Let's get them all in these facilities. And who's making money off these? Construction companies, obviously. I'm sure private equity, just how we talked about private prisons, were made billions. You don't think there's people that are set to make billions off this? We should be rejecting this. We shouldn't be embracing this. We shouldn't be saying whatever that stooge said. It can't come soon enough. No, reject this. This is a disgrace.
This is my question. What does rejection look like for the American people? Like, I think we say these things, and I don't think we say it out loud enough. What does rejection look like? Protest? Going to your local state government?
Yeah. So some of it's probably going to be naive, meaning like, it's not going to work, but you have to do it anyway. And yeah, one would be right to your local politicians. And I will say this, they do answer. Whether they mean it or not, I've tested it before and I've gotten responses pretty quickly. So they do write back. They don't just leave it hanging. And number two, imagine if we had protests in front of that construction, right out there with large picket signs and just raising awareness. You can't solve a problem in one day, but if you call maybe over time, maybe on larger platforms, bringing this to the surface, that gives more people an idea of what we could do.
Right.
Whether that's picket signs in front of it, I don't know, maybe you convince workers there to quit. I'm just making up ideas, but that would be the whole point of bringing attention. People smarter than us would brainstorm and come up with ideas. Maybe another one is, no matter how bad your kid is, don't let your kid go to one of those things. Like, refuse. Make the police come to your house and steal your kid before you let your kid go to some psychiatric center. Same as an adult. If you have a sister or a brother that they're trying to take there, do everything legally that you can to prevent it. Don't get scared into, you know what? Dee Dee really does have mental health. Let's send him over there. Like, it should be the opposite. It should be everything to make sure those beds stay empty. Not, let's learn from the crime bill where, if some black guy had a 1/4 inch of weed in his car, all of a sudden he's in jail. Like, let's learn from that and go, we're not going to let this happen again. But we are going to let this happen again. I hate to say it, but this is because they're going to trick us into it's going to be illegals that got to get in here. Like Trump said, the bad guys. So they're going to create this idea in our heads of who are the bad guys, that things are so bad, and then we're going to accept. Because that's how they always do it. 15 days to stop the spread. They always do some kind of jargon and trickery to manufacture our consent, to psychologically get us thinking, no, this is the right answer. And it's not. I mean, you have no medical autonomy in there. You should not be like, it's just, I have real sympathy for people in there. I think it's insane how much worse their life gets from, who loves it? Pfizer. Oh, we got some new Pfizer drug. Guess where they're getting sent? To the psychiatric centers, where we think they get used on. They get used on the patients in there. The patients are lab rats. No one cares about them. And man, only in America do you just have prisons and psych wards everywhere.
Bro, this can be depressing, bro. When you think about this stuff, it can get depressing, bro. Like, she's saying that they've been doing this in Texas already. Like, it can get depressing, bro.
Yeah, I found the articles to this person's point. One is Dallas is a massive one, and I don't remember if it was Waco or something, but yeah, there's multiple humongous ones going up in Texas, Nevada, California, like every state. Yeah, it's depressing, and the way I feel like to get around the depression is the awareness, because I just think the more you talk about something, the more you feel better, because other people go, maybe here's something we could do, or hey, I didn't know that. Thanks for letting me know. I'll write a letter or I'll do something. Like at some point, the best you can do is make people aware, and then you have to go. I did the best I could because what can one person do? One person can, alert people and ask people to look into it themselves. What can you really do? You do the best you can, and I feel like I don't know. We all have different talents. Maybe my talent is figuring this stuff out. And so I should do something with it. So I come on places like this, I write stories about it, and I put it out there. What else can I do? Once I have acquired knowledge on something, I feel like, well, that's my way of, I don't know, doing something with whatever unique talent I have, is get the information out there. And maybe someone with kids now will look at this differently and be on more guard. If some school nurse calls some parent's house, that's how it all starts. School nurse calls the house. Johnny's acting up. We think it's a mental health thing. And then before you know it, Johnny's on Ritalin, Johnny's on Prozac, on this, and then that makes him so much worse. He's in the psych ward. That's why the parent, I hate to tell parents what to do, but it's worth saying no to all these, quote, psych meds. It's not worth putting your kid on any of these things. The kid's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. Yeah.
And nobody's talking about it. Not only is nobody talking about it, but I can guarantee you that most people do not even know that this is taking place right now.
No, and I kind of didn't know. I drove by one. And you know how we said about, hey, you ask questions when you go to the beach?
Mm-hmm.
When I drive, I drive in silence. There's no music. There's no me talking on the phone. There is nothing. I just think about things and observe. And so I noticed 3 things when I drive. Massive apartment complexes being built everywhere.
Yes, they are.
A lot of alarms. We'll get into that in another video. Psych wards. And then these bizarre like solar fields. So you'll see like a big area of a field cleared out, and then these solar panels pointed like this all. And I just started seeing that, and I'm going, no one else sees this? And no one does. Because when I was bringing up, it's, Brian's annoying us about solar fields again, or Brian's being annoying about psych wards. I'm like, and then I realized
that's happening in Arkansas. I just saw it in Hot Springs, Arkansas. I had never seen this before though. Like it's literally a field.
I know, yeah.
Of like rows of solar
like
panels.
Yeah.
I was like, I've never seen that before, and I pointed it out to my fiance.
It's crazy, right? Or are we crazy? I don't know, because no one else says anything on it. Those are the 3 things I see everywhere: apartments, psych wards, solar fields. Why?
Yeah, that's wild.
Maybe there's a good reason, but why can't we talk about it? Why can't we, let's get that to go viral? Let's do an investigative series on that.
But not only that, this is something this is probably the most anxious I've ever been asked a question before. Do you all have, in whatever cities you're from, let me put the chats up here, these large black poles, like by your stoplight? I'm going to take a picture and post it on here. In my city, like a few months ago, maybe late last year, I started to see these poles being installed. They almost look like stoplights, but they're not stoplights. There's no light at the top of the pole. It's like a base. It's completely all black, all metal. And then maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 feet up, it expands out. And it's a little wider. Have you heard of these? Have y'all seen these?
So I haven't, but my understanding is that's part of the surveillance flock. But I haven't seen one in my area, but that's my understanding. So it's kind of like, if you ever seen the movie Minority Report and these freaky sort of dystopian movies around what they called pre-crime, where you're going to have all this, first they're going to let the crime get bad on purpose. So then you accept this sort of surveillance, again, problem, reaction, solution, and you accept this surveillance in place, which of course Palantir, who's behind Trump and Vance, are some of the architects behind this technology. So it would make sense why they would have financially backed, this administration. But I think that's the long-term plan, is make sure crime is so out of control, we accept all the digital surveillance.
This is the pole. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's freaky. Yeah.
Have you ever seen this before?
Not where I live, but I've heard of this.
So where I live, they're all over the city.
That's freaky. So that must mean you're getting the surveillance sooner than other cities.
Dude, the world is changing. The world is changing.
Didi, flash in the comments. We got a good question. Someone asked, "But why apartments?" And the answer.
Oh, I can answer that, but I'll let you
There's
take it
multiple answers, but I guess I'll give the most salacious one because it's the illegals.
Absolutely.
So right now they've got illegals still in hotels and in encampments, and they've got to get them out soon. So all these apartments are where they're going to get bused to.
Agreed.
And it's the best way to destabilize a nice suburb. So that's why they're not building as many apartments in big cities. It's counterintuitive. You would think, oh, why aren't they going up in Manhattan or fill in the blank city where you live? It's the opposite. It's in nice suburbs, nice, quiet suburbs is where they're all going up. Because now it's time to put the nail in the coffin, meaning it's time to finish off the suburbs. It's time to turn the suburbs into chaos so the suburbs accept what you just showed in that picture.
Right.
If it's real bad, you'll accept that camera. Especially if you're an unarmed suburb. You will definitely accept that camera. Indeed, here's what's crazier that I've noticed. The biggest apartment complexes are going up next to schools. I've driven through the northeast suburbs every time, doesn't fail. Right next to a school. So boy, do they have big plans to destabilize these areas. You just wouldn't put it there.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna have to do a deep dive on these cameras because I'm embarrassed. I'll be the first to admit that here. I'm embarrassed because the moment I saw it on my street, it's just right down the street from my house. I saw the first one. I saw the guys out there installing it when it was there, and the first thing I said when I was at the stoplight was, "What in the world?" It's like I was in some utopian alien robot film, and you're watching something, come from the clouds or walk out of the woods, and it just crashed onto Earth, and you're watching it walk out, and you're like, it's like what is the freaking name of the film? Pantheon, not Pantheon. What's the name of the really popular
Odyssey? Oh, I'm by myself. Let me see if I can get to the comments. I'll answer some questions. Oh, Didi's back. Okay.
That was crazy. I have a fancy microphone, and I guess it's just like booted me off the screen. That was weird. But we're back.
The subject matter on the cameras. I was going to ask you, could you tell, was it a state like government employee, or did it look like a private company?
It looked like it was guys in all white outfits. I couldn't tell. They didn't look local.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
But I don't know what local means, though. All I mean by when I say that they didn't look local is just that I've never seen construction workers that look like that. But the thing is, there's so many different companies. The real thing here is that it doesn't matter if they look local or not. Here's why. They could look local if they wanted to, even if they weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Brian, man. That was very professional. Says Brian was so professional and was going to go with the comments. Way to stay cool and press on, Brian.
Oh, yeah, I don't want the audience to be stuck, so I figured we'll make it work.
Yeah, heck yeah. But nah, like, y'all funny. They I was just talking about robots. They said I think they came and got Didi.
I mean, speaking of robots, why is Elon Musk nonstop pushing robots on us?
Wait, say it again.
Just talking about robots. Why is Elon Musk nonstop pushing robots on us if he, quote, loves humanity? Would someone who loves humanity push robots on us?
Elon Musk loves humanity?
That's what he says. He says no one loves humanity more than him.
Yeah,
And then in the
all right.
next breath, he says you're going to get humanoids.
Well, maybe he's Prometheus. Somebody on Patreon just told me the name of it. Shout out to Mama Bear 7. That's crazy. That's crazy. I saw it. The name of the film I was trying to remember is Prometheus, because I remember it's similar to my name, and I was like, is it Demetrius? It's not Demetrius. It's Prometheus. Prometheus is the name of the film. Shout out to Mama Bear 7. Yes, that it's almost like that when I've seen these freaking cameras out and about, and I'm saying to myself, dude, what's this about? What are these? But nobody I know are asking these questions. I don't want that in front of my house. I don't want that down the street from my house. Why are you constantly watching me nonstop? But this is where the world is headed, just like the films, and I don't think it's going to change. I don't.
No.
So,
especially if it gets worse. The easiest way is just make crime really bad.
see, this right here is a great point. They said they are not cameras. I don't believe they're. I'm going to be honest, but I know I'm going to sound like the old guy on the block that's being introduced to something new, and you're always suspicious of it, as you should be, until you realize that it's maybe not as bad as people thought. Like cell phones, when iPhones and things came around, our grandparents were skeptical. We can make an argument that they had good reason to be. I do believe that our cell phones spy on us, but I just feel like this is different. Like, these things right here are weird. If you all see these in person, it's almost like I walk up to them and I want to just like take it down. But of course, I can't do that. I don't know.
Let's say they're not cameras. What if they're radiation sticks? Right? They love driving up cancer rate, so they may not be cameras, but like this whole 5G and 6G, or, I'm old enough where Wi-Fi in my house, the speed was 1 megabyte a second. Now it's 1,000. It's 900. What does that do to you? There's no way that can be risk-free, shooting that heavy of a Wi-Fi signal at you. What if these boxes are some kind of way to help to just remember problem, reaction, solution? I keep going back to, oh no, there's a problem. The internet speed is slow or something. So we're just doing this to boost your internet. Oh, sounds great. Okay. Put them up. It can be something as simple as that. But there's no way all this extra internet speed doesn't come at a risk. Doesn't come out of radiation. That's how when I go to bed, I turn it off.
Wow.
Maybe I'm being overly cautious and it's unnecessary. I don't know. But it just seems like this stuff can't be good because it's just so much stronger. So, who knows what that is? That could be that too. Clearly, they got to put up something to boost these new Wi-Fi signals.
Yeah, but they're talking about cameras. That doesn't look like a camera. Where's the camera at? And why does it have to be shaped like that?
Yeah, because it's so big.
It's so big. In person, it's really, really big. Why does it look like that? And I mean, like, it's hefty. It's not something that, like, so for example, if a car was to crash into it, it's not coming down easily. It's going to be there it's pretty sturdy.
Like a tree.
It's like a tree. You have to see them in person to understand. I get some weird, and I feel like they're I don't know. So I don't want to get into my head, and I don't want to scare people, but it's I don't believe that they're just cameras. Let me put it that way.
So I wonder what response you would get if you took a picture of it and just emailed it to your local politician and just simply said, I'm concerned about this. I've never seen it in my town before. Can you just tell me what it is?
See, some people are saying they're 5G towers.
That's what I was saying earlier. Could it be that?
Yeah, they're saying it too.
The 5, that's what, yeah.
Yeah.
Like make the politician go on the record and tell you what it is. Then you have an email right from them that says this is what it is.
I feel like everybody with things like this, because they're quick to say, well, there's policies or there was a congressional, we've already told the public, but you didn't. Because I feel like something like this, you have to send out something to everybody's mailbox to make sure that everybody's gotten some sort of alert, notification, update as to what these things are.
How come we don't vote on this? Like they tell us in November,
Right.
the most important day in my life is when it's Trump versus Kamala. How about make this the most important day and I go vote on whatever that black box is? Hey, it means a hell of a lot more than did I pick on selection day. Did I pick Kamala or did I pick Trump? It's just hilarious about when voting matters, we don't get to vote.
I agree. That's a fact. Totally agree.
Someone said smart cities are coming, so that to me makes sense. That's what all this surveillance is for. I'm sure you've heard the term 15-minute city, where everything is within 15 minutes. Another 2030 sort of objective.
Right.
Flock cameras look like mini solar panels. Yeah, whatever that. Yeah.
Oh, I know what they're talking about. And that's probably the ones that you've seen here. I'll share a picture of those, which I hadn't seen what these look like until I just now Googled it to get these images to pull up. I didn't know that they look like this everywhere else. I was under the impression that most of them looked the way mine's looked, but that's not the case. So I'm assuming that this is what they mean. Like this one, right? Did it pull up? Let me see. That one.
No, yeah, except the ones I've seen are bigger.
Bigger than that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's why I freaked out. Yeah. But that design, like how that's how I show my hand. Remember, like this, how they're like tilted. They're not, they're not like that. They're kind of like in that picture, it's kind of tilted.
Yeah, okay, I see.
Yeah, I'll email you one time when I drive by. I'll take a picture. It's like they clear out a field and they're just like everywhere in this field. I mean,
well, yeah, that example that you gave, I do know. Except, okay, so maybe this will help. The field that you're talking about, are they standing on poles?
Not as high as that. So they're like up and then angled. And
Oh,
then
yeah,
what you just showed.
The one I just showed is, I believe, what the person in the comment section was referring to, what they have been seeing on the sides of roads.
Okay.
Similar to the black pole that I showed.
Oh, forgive me. Okay, got it.
So, yes. So I think they're saying that those are like the surveillance cameras, the flock cameras, and that's what theirs look like. What you're talking about is what I believe is exactly what I saw in Hot Springs, Arkansas. They maybe stand, I don't know, 5-10 feet off the ground.
That's it. Yep.
It's really low off the ground, but the panels themselves are huge.
Yeah.
And there's rows of them.
Exactly. Yeah, like tons of rows. Not one or two rows.
Tons of rows.
I call it a field because that's what it looks like. It looks like a huge solar panel field. It's freaky. Yeah.
Of solar panel. Let me see if I can pull it
And
up.
while we were all asleep, that's how this stuff gets put in, While we're all fighting over this issue, that issue, or whatever, that's how it happens. It quietly, like I said, during OJ, a lot of stuff happened because you don't, distraction is one of the most effective tools.
Mm-hmm.
And even better, they've got you convinced. No, when you drive, listen to podcasts, listen to music. Guess what? You don't notice
Right.
solar fields because that's why I said I drive in silence. I'm not listening to Joe Rogan or fill in the blank band. I don't know, Metallica or something. It's just drive in silence, and I observe what I see or I think, and they don't want you doing that.
So let's see here.
Exactly. That is exactly them. Except
This is what they look like.
That's exactly it. But way more. I'm talking like a football field where they have it. Like they've cleared out like a football. Yep. That's it. On a field, just like that.
Yeah, you've seen some really, really huge ones. The one I saw was a mini one.
Yeah, no, I got to take a picture next time I drive by it.
Like this one right here. If I saw something like this, it would really freak me out. If I just saw it like in public, only because I'm just not accustomed to seeing things like this. Okay, it's not pulling up. One sec. Okay, this is a much better one anyways. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. That's why I kept calling it a solar field. Yeah, that's what I saw. A solar.
That's insane.
I
Now,
don't know
to be fair, I know there are companies that sell these to homes, and there are people that are more than willing to buy these. It's weird to me when I see like so many of them in one area. I'm just not accustomed to seeing it.
So I'm not seeing them at homes. I'm seeing them off major highways. That's what I mean. They cleared out like all this land off a highway and then put them.
Yeah, that's weird to me. And for
That's
me,
how
I'm
I
like,
saw them.
are you doing this for a reason, or are you just is this just the area you're using to sort of stall them as people buy them? Because I have personally seen them in surrounding neighborhoods. I even know somebody, her parents, a friend of mine's, her parents bought some solar panels to put on the top of their home.
Yeah, maybe I was just paranoid, but I'm seeing a lot of them like that.
Yeah.
And what's funny is then 10 minutes later, I saw the psych ward. It was on the same drive. I'm like, this is insane. I drive past a solar field, get off the highway. I'm coming up the street, and then I'm going, what is this thing? It's just a humongous, looks like a mall being constructed. And it turns out it's for like the craziest of the crazy.
That's insane. That's insane. Yeah. All right. So let's offer some sort of final thoughts on really, I mean, I guess sort of the biggest reason why people may have tuned in. How we're feeling about let's just do it this way. How we're feeling about the next year, politically, economically, socially. What are your thoughts?
I think financially matters the most than
Okay.
politically or anything else, just because it seems like you could be at a tipping point with the markets. So basically, the markets are getting more manipulated than they've ever have. So while you hear one day Trump says, I'm going to hit Iran, then the next day he doesn't, it's just simply manipulating the markets on both ends. So they manipulate the oil market, they manipulate the stock market. And typically when they're doing it this, what would you say, like brazenly, usually you're kind of near the end. Is essentially, let's squeeze as much juice out of this, before it comes down, is typically what this means. Because in the last few years, it's never been like this. We're just right out in the open. They're just extracting billions from these markets. It makes you think that maybe whatever they have planned is probably could be within the next year, next 18 months. I mean, Jeff Bezos just sold another, I think, 5 billion of Amazon stock, which is a lot to sell if everything's fine. People like Warren Buffett were constantly selling stock and hoarding cash, which is usually a sign you hoard cash. So that way, when markets crash, you buy it at a discount, like a Black Friday for stocks.
All right.
If you have a lot of money in cash, you can now gobble it up at a cheaper price.
All right.
It just seems like things are pointing to that. I don't know. Like me, I prepare myself by, like I said, saving my money, gold, things like that. But I'm not a financial advisor, but I would definitely just be on alert. I wouldn't listen to people telling you, man, you got to get in on SpaceX or you got to get in on this. I would not. I would advise you don't get, I'm not your financial advisor. I would tell you don't get in on anything. Work and save. Play it safe. So that way, if something unexpected comes, even though it's to be expected, at least you're in a better position because you didn't get caught with your pants down because you just, have all your money in stocks and in all these risky assets.
Mm-hmm.
So I would tend to think they've got something planned. It's also tough to do a war without crashing a market. It's just, the two kind of go hand in hand. Maybe Iran ends. It's never happened before. If you think about Iraq, Afghanistan, Vietnam, you can go down the list of wars. They never end in a few months. Typically, something happens that it escalates,
Right.
and then that affects markets. So that's what I'm on the lookout for. I'm not really caught up in like the midterms and all this like pro wrestling sort of stuff. I'm pretty like laser focused on the geopolitical and the markets because I think that has the most direct impact on our everyday life. I don't know. What if gas hits $5? That affects our life big time.
That's very,
So I'm way
man,
more
it's
affected.
feasible.
Yeah. So I'm way more into that than some of this other soap opera sort of stuff. So I think at this point we should all be selfish, focused on things that are going to directly change our lives as opposed to these stories that don't mean as much. Yeah, if the Iran thing gets out of control and the gas, everything then changes.
I think I'm going to have to pull up a poll, and I need to say this out loud because I think it'll help me remember to do it. And I'll schedule it for tomorrow. And the question is going to be, do you believe that most Americans, regular everyday Americans, on an average, are extremely depressed? I want to know what people are going to say because I saw a comment today under a poll. I'm on a YouTube video. Someone said that they believe that more than 85% of most people are jealous and miserable in their lives, jealous of other people and miserable of their lives. And it just made me think about that as you were speaking, because I'm just curious to hear what people think. Because what I've learned is a lot of people do a lot of hiding. They do a great job of just hiding what they're really feeling, what they're really experiencing. You run into people in public, you see people in the grocery stores, in the gym, and it looks like people are functioning, but many people are struggling. And I do believe that most Americans, because the reason why I'm saying this is because it's very hard for me to believe that 65+% of Americans are struggling paycheck to paycheck, and it's probably one paycheck from losing a place to live. It's very hard for me to hear or see that when in reality or in everyday life, when I'm in passing, people don't seem depressed. I know it's kind of hard to say that. Like, what do you mean by that, DD? Are you supposed to like know just by looking at a person? Is a person supposed to let you know that, hey, I'm Hannah, my life is horrible, I'm miserable right now, I am I'm on a cocktail of all these medications. How are you? No, I don't expect people to just, spill their life out to me, but I just feel like you would be able to tell a little bit better in everyday life, and you can't. It's not how life works. And I just want to put up a poll to see what maybe 3 to 5, maybe 8,000 people think,
What if it's because they don't know? If you're in an illusion, you don't really know. Turn on the television. What do they say about the economy? Go on Twitter. What do they say about the economy? Talk to someone, even just like I talked to a guy in my gym. Well, now I don't talk to him because he just disgusts me. But I used to talk to this guy in my gym who I would say is like upper middle class.
Yeah.
Everything was, man, economy's great because he has a little bit of money. And he's not super wealthy, but he just had, more than enough money to say everything's great. So then if you're not informed enough, you would question yourself. Yeah, I must be cheap, or I must be, something's wrong with me. So I think there's people that don't know. That's the whole benefit of the illusion. That's why the Fox News headline, why do you think every finance headline goes like this? New GDP up to this number and record stock market and record this, to create the illusion. You're not I'm not saying you're dumb, but you're not financially literate enough to combat that. So you go, yeah, I guess I'm just the unlucky one. Everything is fine. No, there's other factors. It could be like you said, people are on weed, people are on vapes, people are on pills. But just ask yourself, why do they go so hard on this illusion that the economy is great? To make you think it's great. Despite the fact that you can't afford a burger, you can't go on a vacation, you're behind on your car, doesn't matter. The country, everything's great because every headline is great. Trump says it's great. The Dems even will say, push comes to shove, even the Dems will tell you, yeah, it's not that bad. Like everyone. So I think people may be angry, but I don't think they're depressed because I'm not convinced they know enough to be depressed. They think everything's fine.
That's actually a great point. You have to be very insightful to just recognize that, yes, it's very likely that people are probably, it's part of the reason why it's probably not a revolution taking place, because you got the enemy working overtime to make sure that people believe that maybe it's just me. I'm the reason why my life is miserable, or maybe I should work harder. Because look at them. Look at the car that they're driving. Look at the things that this person is buying on social media, not knowing that there's algorithms that's forcing you to believe that people are thriving and life is a lot better. You don't know what people are going through. Yeah. Yeah. Very well
So
said.
all these economic indicators are made up and stuff you can't measure. When they give you some GDP, how can you measure that? You can't audit that. You have no, so you just take it for, okay, I guess so. Again, I guess I'm just the unlucky one.
Yes, so fast.
And all this stock market stuff, who's really in the market? That's what I keep saying. Go to Walmart, go to McDonald's and Burt, and start talking to those people. See if any of these things, and then you can wake some of them up, because they'll go, yeah, you know what? You're right. Yeah, what does this matter to me? What does it matter that Apple stock hit a new all-time high? That has no connection to Main Street. Think about it this way. There's Wall Street and there's Main Street. They're not connected. They have you thinking they're connected, but Wall Street is not Main Street. So when they all brag about Wall Street, they're correct. Wall Street is doing amazing. How's Main Street doing?
That's real.
How do I benefit from that? If you have a 401k, yes, you benefit. First of all, I have to live to 72 to benefit from it. So what do I care today? I'm not near 72. I don't know if you are. I'm not. So that means nothing to me.
Right.
That's another one I hear. Oh, your 401k. In 40 years, I'll have it. What is that? Like, I'm selfish. I'm worried about today, tomorrow, next year, not my 401 40 years from now.
I feel like that's a scam, but that's a conversation for another day. I feel like that's a scam as well. Yeah, I still think that people should invest in it, because, I mean, what's the alternative? What's the alternative? But again, we can discuss that in another episode, because it's a rabbit hole I'll love to go down with that, with the whole 401k thing. If you're telling me I can get my fund, well, first and foremost, what I think is interesting is that you can actually see how much money you're making in some of these 401ks, if not all of the 401ks. I don't know the difference between all of them, but I know when I was in corporate America, I still have access to my 401k, and I see how much I've made, and I'm like, okay, in 10 years, man, I'll be definitely good to go. Let alone 40 years.
But it's 40 years. What are you doing at
It's
70?
40 years. There's no guarantee I'll be alive in 40 years. There's no guarantee that this society will be around in 40 years. You know?
When is it more beneficial? When is money more beneficial to you? Is it in your
right now?
years, as you're raising kids, a family, buying a house? At 70, I mean, I don't know. At 70, I may give up on life, do drugs, and enjoy my final years.
Exactly.
Like, I may not care anymore.
Or maybe society will actually adopt the opinions of, I don't know, people like Ben Shapiro, who said that he believes that people should never retire. Stop being lazy and work the rest of your life. You know, Ben Shapiro said this.
Yeah, I've heard that. And that's a real sign of the talking point from these political elites, because he's not the only one. Ted Cruz says things like that.
Wow.
Meanwhile, what do? Do they dig a ditch for a living? Do they serve food? They sit in an air-conditioned multi-million-dollar studio and read a teleprompter. That's work? Wow, man, honey, how was work today? Oh, I had a rough day at the studio. Like, I had a rough day at the reading the teleprompter. Oh, man, that was stressful. I mean, give me a break. These are the people talking down to guys that are on construction sites, digging ditches, you know, horrendous, like.
Yeah, honey, rough day at the office today, man. I had to read a teleprompter and it kept freezing. I can't stand it.
I had to wear a sweater to work. It was 66. I wish they could figure out that damn AC. Are you kidding me? This is who we're taking orders from?
Oh, my stomach hurts.
I said earlier, I want the society where the poor people tell the rich people how to live.
Right, I agree.
I want the poor people tell the rich people how to live, and that's the new way things are.
But you need to wake up. Keep dreaming.
Sorry,
That's never going to happen.
I'm being naive. That's how it should be.
That's never going to happen.
Because if we do all the labor, we should be calling the shots.
Right.
We provide all the service. We pay all the taxes.
Yeah,
I know they keep saying rich people pay all the taxes. That's not true.
We're the peasants. There's far more of us than there is of them. But yeah, no. But yeah, we've been going for 3 hours. Actually 3 hours on the dot.
Do we have
time flies whenever we talking, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, if we have any questions before we go, I'll gladly answer. Because
Heck yeah, let's go through some super chats.
I'm not
see.
on a time thing tonight. Usually I am, but
This thing here is I don't know what these mean. They've been doing these these jewel things. Thank you so much, everybody. Stay hydrated, jamming.
That's true.
Finger Harbor's just gonna recognize everybody. Sent these. Y'all gonna have to forgive me. I don't know what those mean. Me and my wife love your show. Wonder if you would ever cover the David case. I know you're busy though. Also, we do music. Me and my wife love if you check it out. I definitely do not mind checking out your channel. Musical symbol. If your music is on this channel, I'll try to check it out after this. But I will say, yes, I've covered the David case multiple times. If I can remember, y'all remind me, I'll link it in the description, or you could just go on my YouTube channel if you're on desktop and just search David, the number 4 VD. That is the musician, I believe based out of somewhere in California or LA somewhere, more specifically LA, who unalived the underage girl Celeste, who he was dating and making music videos about. She was found in the trunk of his car. I believe it was a black Tesla. And yeah, he is in prison. And it's a very bizarre story. It's very occultic. This guy, I do believe, is one of those individuals that is a Luciferian. I believe he's an open Luciferian, much like many of the other people he run with in Hollywood or surrounded by in Hollywood. He's one of those people. I believe he has like a $9 million, $8 million record deal, but nobody knows who he is, and he only has hit songs from TikTok, right? And that's just very strange. Yes, TikTok hit songs are still hit songs, but it's not the same thing as making the Billboard charts, because when you're reaching people, quote unquote, as they like to call it, in real life, that's how Hollywood looks at it. That's the way the music industry looks at it. Then that's completely different. When you're only reaching people on TikTok, they want you to reach people on TikTok and outside of TikTok. All right. But anyways, yes, I've extensively covered that story. I have at least 2 videos. I may have 3. So go and check that out when you get a chance. Gold coin. Hello, Miss Elaine. Good to see you. All right, we got Sharon Fingerhart. See a lot of these. Okay, we got a comment. Thanks for the prayer the other day for my pastor brother. No problem at all. Appreciate you. Defeat the 2 horns for the $10. You prayed that thing in the spirit. Was beautiful. My pastor's oxygen level is 100%. Stand in the spirit, my friend. Much love, brother. Don't stop. Amen. Everybody, this brother is sharing that his pastor is doing much better. This is the gentleman, I believe, that shared that his pastor was helping out during COVID. He's helping a lot of individuals out, and his health was not necessarily in the best place. So praise God for that.
That's great.
Okay. Shout out to Gina. Everybody pray for Gina as well. Number one, pray for Gina because she's just a great person. She contributes to the channel. She helps out. She's one of my biggest supporters. So keep her in your prayers of all times, that she remains in great health and spirit. She asked the question, how can anybody debate anything so subjective? We've discussed so many things in the conversation.
Well, I was thinking she meant the initial thing with the Andrew Wilson. I could be wrong, but that was what I.
Yeah, I was just going to say that may be what I'm leaning towards as well. Gina's probably asking about that, because
we asked that question when I had said, "What are the parameters of this? What are they actually debating?" If that's what she's saying, that was my initial reaction as well. Was what are they trying to solve? What are they?
Agree. Shout out to Gina again. She says here, it is objective that they've lied more times than we can count. How can Andrew Wilson argue against that? So this proves your point or your theory here, Brian. She is talking about that. Another one who sold his soul. I agree. I think he's just looking for clout. He wants to be quote unquote internet famous, and that's what it appears to be for me too. That's exactly what it looks like. And part of the reason I believe that, Gina, is especially when he spoke, and I didn't get to speak about this earlier. It's a part of the interview where he says the first thing he did when he saw Erica was hugged Erica. Brian, you don't know this, or I don't believe you know this. Andrew Wilson, there are tweets out there about Andrew Wilson months ago calling Erica Kirk a complete retard.
Wow.
He says that, well, not only that, but his debate not even a week ago or so against Stu Peters about this very same topic, he literally said that he believed, because Stu Peters said this, like, how do you go all of a sudden from being recorded on the internet calling Erica Kirk a complete retard who doesn't know what the elf she's doing? This is what you've said. How did you go from that to all of a sudden you're defending them, religiously the way that you are? He goes, well, I believe all women are stupid. I believe all women are complete retards. But the first thing you did when you saw Erica Kirk was hugged her because what she's been through. What do you mean what she's been through? You don't know what she's been through.
She had $100 million. That's what
she had $100 million. She's doing just fine. Coming out to pyrotechnics and fireworks and glittery outfits and these, horrible acting, her suspicious background. Let's just say that we don't know if she had anything to do with anything, but it's possible. Wouldn't you want her to be completely exonerated from any wrongdoing, any possibility of any wrongdoing, before you start making claims like what she's been through? Spouses get spouses unalived, right? Weird.
So what if Andrew Wilson then isn't a grifter and they've got something on him, and so he was forced into this position?
See, that's why you
and I only say that because before coming on here, I didn't know anything about him, but you just said something very interesting, that he was calling her, I guess we could say the word on here, retard.
Yeah.
To go from that to this would make me think there's something more going on, only because could you really change that quick if you're just a grifter? Maybe.
Man.
Or maybe it's deeper than only because that's a big swing.
I didn't even consider that. That's something to think about, because
that's how you get people to do what
Candace
they want.
has made this point multiple times. She even made this point about Lance Twiggs. Many people believe that Lance Twiggs, the supposed lover, trans lover, even though it's been proven, or it's been made more and more apparent that it doesn't appear that Tyler Robinson or Lance Twiggs are trans. If anything, they're gay, but it doesn't appear that they're anything trans. But that's what's been pushed. Trans furry lovers. That's weird. That's very weird. And so it's becoming more and more apparent that maybe Lance Twiggs may have had some sort of fetishes that may have been blackmailed, or he's being blackmailed. And they told him, hey, look, if you don't want people to know that you're a PDF file, that you're a creep, if you don't want to spend X amount of time in jail, this is what you're going to do on our behalf.
Yeah, maybe.
So that's a theory that's been out there.
Once you see the movie Snake Eyes, it's hard to take any of this serious, because Tyler is in that as well, the boxer. It's just, you see that movie and I can't unsee that movie. So it's hard for me to sit here and have like a serious conversation about Lance Twiggs, this, you know what I mean? Because it just feels like, no, they took the script from that movie. And by the way, what's on the cover of the movie? I don't even want to do it because then someone could take a screenshot of me doing it. But his hands, he's doing a Jay-Z impersonation.
All right.
What? Come on.
Nicolas Cage, that is. Yeah.
Come on. That can't be.
Yeah.
Too many.
Agreed. Very interesting logo you chose to choose here.
Jeez.
Thank you for the $5. Didn't you hear about Owen's social autopsy? She wanted to dox people for saying mean things online. Now she role plays. She's for free. She's for free. She role plays. She's for free speech. I am familiar with social autopsy. There's been back and forth about what it is for. Like you may have not heard about this, but in Brian and I's original video, me and Brian's original video, Candace actually commented on the video here on YouTube, and she cleared up some things about her past, about what was true, what wasn't, and so I forget the exact things she cleared up. So it may have been one of those things. May have been about social autopsy. I just don't remember.
No, it was about her nonprofit.
Blexit.
Yeah, social autopsy is what this person says.
Okay.
It's doxing people for allegedly saying racist sort of things. Yeah, social autopsy is something completely different. I've never brought it up only because I was focusing on the IRS filings, and that's how Blexit came into that. I didn't, bring up anything unrelated to that.
Interesting.
So, now, the only thing I would say about this is my understanding is, and I could be wrong, this person probably know better. I think she was in high school during this. So for me, it's just hard to hold someone to how they were in high school, because a lot of people in high school do stupid things, say stupid things.
Right.
I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, it's noteworthy though. Of course it is, because it's something in someone who's really famous. This is part of their resume. But at the same time, I guess I don't know how much weight I can put into high school. I may be wrong. So if I'm wrong, let me know if it wasn't high school. But I remember it being like senior year is what I thought, or maybe first year out of high school. She was definitely very young.
If she was in high school, that's super, super young for sure.
That's how I remember this. But it was a long time ago I read about this, so I may be wrong.
Okay. But we'll appreciate the comment, though.
Someone in the comments said she was 17. So I don't know if they looked it up.
Yeah, that's high school age.
So, yeah.
All right, thank you for the $5. Y'all are my favorite duo in the truther space. I appreciate it. Y'all are on it. Respect from Cape Cod.
Thank you.
Cape Cod.
Cape Cod, was that Massachusetts?
Cape Cod. Yeah, I'm not sure.
The Kennedys. I think Cape Cod is the Kennedys. How's he turned out, by the way? The great RFK Jr.
Yeah, the Make America Healthy Again.
Yeah, you mentioned Vivek. That's another Vivek type. Leading up to it, said everything you wanted to hear. Called out the you-know-what, called out the pharma, called out the three-letter agencies. Everything you could think of, this dude was on point until he gets in.
Whenever you get back on the show, we have to discuss Dr. Fauci. We have to talk about Dr.
Another
Fauci.
crazy one, yeah.
Yeah, all of the congressional hearings and things that's been taking place. We have to discuss that.
All
right.
Pro wrestling, yeah.
This is Jenna. Thank you, Gina, for the $5. This agenda has been going on a very long time. So happy to see Brian with you tonight. He's very intelligent and based, just like you. So right on it.
Thank you. This show is great for my ego.
Heck yeah. Thank you, Gina, once again for the $5. First time I watched your channel, Brian was on. Oh, wow. What? I didn't know that. That was the first time you ever seen my work. Then I've been watched all your content, and then I was hooked. Thank you both so much. Wow.
What a crazy day. Well, for you, yes, Didi, wasn't crazy, but for me, because as I told the story, I didn't research your channel enough. So I agreed to come on because I thought, all right, 5,000 people may see this, worst case, I don't know, 10,000, but I never, ever thought anything like that. That's had I known, it's weird. I wouldn't have come on. I only came on because I quickly thought, oh, small channel. I can get my story out, but I don't have to worry about my job or getting done. And then all of a sudden, things went nuclear.
You were a little bit too good.
I was like, how did this happen? That freaked me out, but I'm still here. And I admit it too. I definitely was in panic mode.
Yeah. That's crazy. Transparent ranked voting, term limits, MTS, Nepotism. What does that mean? Do you know?
Not familiar with the last one, but definitely ranked voting would be great. Term limits would be great. So ranked voting would be great because you would have multiple choices and you would rank them. Instead of Trump versus Kamala, you'd have 5 Trumps and 5 Kamala and 10. And then you would rank 1 to 10. Why can't we have that?
Right. I agree. Totally agree. Thank you, Gina, for the $5. Charles Manson was a CIA asset and MKU. I agree. At some point, I'm going to do a deep dive on Charles Manson. Pretty sure he was a Manchurian asset. but I gotta just make sure that whenever I do the Charles Manson one, a Manchurian candidate rather, I gotta make sure though whenever I do his video that I take my time with it. I have to do it right, because there's a lot of things that was going on with Charles Manson and the school that he was affiliated with. I have to take my time with that one.
And you could use the 2 books. You could use the Laurel Canyon book, and then you could use the Chaos book.
Yeah.
Because those both go deep into.
So did Charles Manson come through this?
Yeah, he was somehow friends with the Beach Boys, writing songs for them. One of the Beach Boys was like, it's crazy. You got to see I'm sure you've heard of the Beach Boys. Some huge fan. And yeah, I think what actually happened, but I don't know if anyone's ever said this, but from all the books and stuff I read, I think they initially had Charles Manson pegged to be in the Beach Boys and realized this guy is way more talented than we thought. We can use him for something better.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
If you've got like a gem, like a 5-star talent, you're going to get the most out of them, aren't you?
Right.
So the people in charge realize that we can get, this guy's great. This guy's great actor, great this. And they recast him. Because it's all a movie.
It's all a movie.
We're all in some version of a Truman Show sort of thing. I don't know how else to, it's what it is. Tupac, you said earlier, another actor.
Yep.
With an acting background. It's not me like calling him he went to acting school.
Literally went to acting school.
He didn't go to music school. He didn't go to rap school.
And what was even more suspicious, what's even more suspicious about that is that he grew up very, very poor. Yet he could afford to go to acting school, which I don't know any poor person from the hood where I'm from that can go to acting school. Yet Tupac Shakur did.
And it's one of the best ones. The Baltimore
one of the best ones.
Other than the one in New York. I think it's in Queens. He was at one of the best ones. And he's there with Will Smith's wife.
Yeah, let me
How did they end up there? I forgot her name. Jada, I think. I'm pretty sure she's there.
Jada Pinkett Smith. Yeah.
Jada Pinkett Shakur. She's there with him. Come on. It's so clear when you step back what happened there. He was created and being trained for that role. The role that he played. He didn't write that music. He had nothing to do with music. He was just playing the role.
Great.
And he was getting you to act like him to fill those private prisons.
Bingo. And then they created what they call a Janus. They created a duplicate to sort of rival him, that being Biggie Smalls. But they came together. It's something called the Janus Project. And I've covered this in my Tupac video. I have to link it in the description. But that dates back to the occult and Aleister Crowley as well. But it's the Janus. It's the Janus, and Janus is spelled, I believe, it's Janis. But I'm gonna have to link it because it's like it's twinning. It's what they call twinning. When you think of one, you think of the other. Like Michael Jackson, you think of who? Prince. Tupac, you think of Biggie. Who's another one? There's a few of them.
It'd even be like sports. If you thought of Lakers, you think of Celtics.
You think of Celtics.
Yeah.
You think of, it's another big one that's not coming to mind right now, and it's killing me right now. It's that's what it is.
Wouldn't it
You
be
think of
Kendrick
Bow Wow, you think of Lil Romeo.
Kendrick and Jake?
You have say it again.
Wasn't it Kendrick and Jake?
You think of Kendrick, now you think of Drake.
Drake, yeah, not Jake. Drake, yeah.
Drake, yeah. You think of
There's a lot of that. Yeah, I didn't know about that term though.
Yeah, man, it's the 20 program, but it's another one I really want to see.
Someone said Kobe LeBron for
Kobe LeBron. You think of Kobe, you think of LeBron. It's sort of that whole ordeal. All of that stuff is by design, which, by the way, I'm working on the Kobe Bryant series, and I just tied them to LeBron James, who they're 100% linked. You can find it on Patreon. The link is in the description to that as well. All right, so this let's move on. Let's move on. Stage, The Reality, Mark Burnett, and more. The Apprentice and similar. I'm sort of familiar with some of the names of like Gilligan's Island, but I haven't really watched these. The Apprentice, I'm familiar, but I didn't watch it. I think is it The Apprentice Trump show?
Apprentice is Trump's show, yeah.
Okay.
And I think Mark Burnett was the producer. I could be wrong, but I think he's the producer.
Okay.
And remember, Trump also came from pro wrestling. All those skits with Vince McMahon, WrestleMania 23, WrestleMania 4, WrestleMania 5, Trump on Monday Night Raw. When you're involved in what is politics? We always say pro wrestling, and then here's the guy in pro wrestling.
Right.
Maybe coincidence. I don't know.
Thank you, Gina, for the $10. Didi's definitely not supported by the algorithm. They don't want people hearing, knowing the truth he speaks. We must never conform to their bull butter. That's a new one for me. There's big reasons to be shadow banned big time. That's my position, Gina. That's definitely my position. It is what it is. We're not gonna harp on it too long. People are gonna say that I'm complaining. I'm not even complaining at this point. I make it known when I feel that it's necessary. Orion, thank you for the $5. Just tagged you in a post on X. It's a 5-minute video, but in my opinion, extremely relevant to the poll. Okay, I'll check it out.
Someone just had an interesting comment on Trump. He's in the WWE Hall of Fame. I mean, you can't make this up.
I think I knew that too. But I think it's been years. I think it's been like a really long time since they did it. I could be wrong.
Yeah, because once he became president, they don't touch it. They don't mention his name. They don't show.
Right.
They want you to think he was never involved, but
right.
You can't erase history. I mean, it's right. But yeah, it was definitely before he ran. But that's still just funny. Like, he's in the Hall of Fame. He does stuff with wrestling. And you don't think that maybe this is a version of a wrestling character?
WWE.
Yeah, of a baby face and a heel, a good guy and a bad guy. I don't think that's that crazy to suspect.
Agreed.
You know?
Thank you for the $5. I've seen this name before. They typically have some trolling things to say. Let's see. I can't watch now. I have to go to bed, but can give you your commentary on. But can you give your commentary on Perez Hilton? The whole thing screams demonic, ritualistic sacrifice. I plan to do a video on him. Yes, thank you for asking. I plan to do a video on this person. And so stay tuned for that. As a matter of fact, that may even be what I get up early in the morning and work on. Because people think that this guy was able to just build a following in Hollywood, exposing celebrities. Much like what I just said, you're not able to do those things unless you're already being backed by some powerful people. And so I'm very well familiar with this trending video on social media with him cutting himself. I do plan to cover it. There will be a Patreon version and there will be a YouTube version. So stay tuned for that. Didi, your laugh is contagious. Brian, you're great. Thank you, Angela. My sister, a lot of people have told me that my laugh is contagious. So that's kind of funny to hear somebody else say that. So I appreciate it. That was just funny because Brian made a great point though. It's kind of like that these people sit behind in their air conditioned room, and they're millionaires. They can log into their bank accounts and see millions of dollars, and everybody's paid for and protected. They walk around with bodyguards. They don't have to actually deal with the general public, but they can sit back there and tell you how to live your life. When the hardest thing they had to deal with today was a stiff back from sitting in a chair all day. That's what you're complaining about? When people out here doing construction jobs and putting their life on the line and still struggle to afford to put food on the table every single day for their family. Stop it. All right. Marie 1, thank you for the $10. Brother Diddy, I'm gonna be broke messing with you. LOL, much love. Don't go broke. Don't give me your money if you can't. Hi, Brian. Love you. Love to you as well.
Thank you.
Hello. Hollywood Stage, Reality Apprentice. Okay, we already seen that one. Somebody said, I'm not sleeping yet. But Didi, I have never trolled you. All support here. Good night. Okay, I appreciate it. Your name probably is very similar to another one that I've seen before. But heck yeah.
No, Didi, while we're getting super chats, if I can ask a quick question, because maybe the answer will come through on the super chat.
Yeah.
A few videos I wanted to ask this and we never had time. I always thought this was odd. Both MLK and Kirk, the weapon used. Why did they choose 30-06? Well, 3.6 would be why, wouldn't it?
That's actually a very good point. That's actually a very good point.
Because it makes no other sense. We know what a 30-06 does.
Right.
It would blow a head off a moose. So what other explanation can there be? Well,
Three
because that I'm
sixes.
aware of, it's the only one that I can get to 3.6. Because I'm almost positive you type in MLK Jr. 30-06.
That's a very good point.
For 3.6 and 33 is what has to come up in these sort of events. And what was MLK's hotel number again? His room, wasn't it something weird?
Yeah. What was it?
I wasn't 33, but I thought it was just something that maybe added up to a weird number. I can't remember. Because I always wondered, why do they even tell us the hotel number? Why is that relevant? Why is his room number relevant to the case? Just like why was 33 hours relevant to how long they solved the case? You know what I mean? Like when I'm told numbers that feel irrelevant, my guard, my radar, whatever you would say, comes up, because I just go, in normal conversation, we don't bring up irrelevant numbers, do we? We don't.
What was the bullet that he was taken out with? A what?
The
30 what?
30-06, right? 3.6. These people sure love to communicate via numbers.
Hold on one sec. It didn't come up. I got you. He got taken out with a 30-06. Charlie Kirk was taken out with a 30-06.
3.06. I knew it was something weird. 3.6.
That's crazy.
3.6.
Dude, that is crazy.
And why is that relevant? If it was room 412, would they have said?
Nope.
Completely irrelevant, the room number. Completely irrelevant. Who can sell me on why I need to know the room number?
Right.
3.6. Because as you know, in numbers, 0 means nothing. So that's 3.6.
Yeah, I agree. I just want to address this comment. Somebody said, one of the best worst at telling people what to do who aren't them is Steve Kerr. I'm not sure what that means, but I just want to state that Steve Kerr came up under Phil Jackson. A lot of people don't know that. I believe, was under an apprenticeship. Speaking of the word apprentice, I believe he went through sort of an apprenticeship program, if you will, while he was an actual basketball player on the Chicago Bulls, while playing with Michael Jordan, or Michael Jordan's Bulls. The reason why I say Michael Jordan's Bulls in particular is because, remember, Michael Jordan's team held, I forget which year, the 90s, held the best all-time record, regular season record. That is until Steph Curry and the Warriors would come along and beat them with a 73-9 record. Who was the coach for that team? Steve Kerr. I have to do a deep dive on Phil Jackson. A lot of these NBA coaches have CIA and MK Ultra background, which is important because a lot of these high-level athletes are monarch athletes. But I digress. I'm going to digress too much if I get into that. And say it again.
Naismith was a Mason in his own Wikipedia.
Yeah,
that's not Alex Jones' conspiracy blog. It's just a Wikipedia type James Naismith. It says it. Newspaper articles when he dies. I went and checked. It says it.
Walter Camp, who was over football. A lot of these people were Freemasons. Absolutely. All right, last super chat coming from Gina. Of course, thank you for the $5. Also, the 30-06 worked with MLK. Why fix what's not broken? Charlie Kirk was not supposed to get hit in the chest. They messed up big time. Yep. I agree. Spot on, Gina.
Yeah, great super
Okay.
chat.
All right, y'all. I got to use the bathroom really badly. And we've been on here for 3.5 hours. More than enough time. Brian, got to have you back on here pretty soon, man. Yeah. Appreciate you for being here. Everybody have a great rest of your night. Pray for everybody mentioned in this video. I'm going to go ahead and log up out of here.
Have a great night, guys. Take care.
All right.